Yes, good morning. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV, or it might be a good afternoon or a good evening wherever you are. Some of you might not have gone to bed, but hey, here we are. Welcome to the Danalist on a Friday morning. Tottenham are going to Bilbao, and we're in another final, Dan. And this time, it's not anyone the caliber of Liverpool from 2019. Dan, how are you feeling after last night's game?
Oh man, you cannot not be happy, man. It was a great result, wasn't it? I was surprised with the performance. I mean, I had my concerns about. Sorry, big up Savva, big up chat, by the way. I was concerned about that it was going to be a harder game than I thought, but in the end, it was very, very comfortable. And I don't know if BODO just maybe it was the occasion. Uh, um, we were just really good, and it was good to see us more organised. There was a kind of game plan, which we haven't seen enough this season. And look, I was surprised. But if you look at it, Savva, we're much, player to player, we're much better than Bodo Glimp, and we should be winning this game.
Sure.
Shouldn't we really, Savva?
Listen, for sure. Listen, I'll say what I said this morning. You know me, Dan. I won't change what I've said in WhatsApp groups to being live. I think we've absolutely stunk the place out to get to the final, and that's fine. That's fine on one reason only. As long as you win it. As long as you win it, it doesn't matter. If you don't win it, it's just been a cup run. So listen, we are going to Bilbao. It's 12 days. 12 days until we play Man United in the final. And this is a Man United team that did fair play to them, respect. They've just beaten Bilbao 7-1 on aggregate. I don't think anyone would have seen a 7-1 drubbing. But how are you feeling in the aspect of an all-English final? Because in Europe, it's normally about playing a bit of the unknown and different teams. Now we're playing Man United, who we've played twice in the league, once in the League Cup. We've beaten them all 3 times. How are you feeling about Man United in the final?
I mean, I would have rather played a European team, because it's a European Cup, right? We want that romance. But, it is what it is. Man United have got they're beatable. They're not great either, like us. It's a winnable game. And like you said just now, Savva, it's all well and good getting there. And yes, we can celebrate and we should. But we have to win it, really. Let's not get too carried away. And I think a lot of people maybe have, but that's fine. We're fans. We're going to enjoy the moment yesterday. But really nothing's changed yet until we get over the line and win this competition. If we do that, then I'll be impressed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's just say, first of all, welcome to Alec Lewis. What I like about Alec Lewis, by the way, I've just checked. This is his first ever comment on my channel. This is what I love, Dan. Listen to the guys who don't want Tottenham to win. I mean, I don't know how many videos I can do saying I want Tottenham to win the Europa League, that Tottenham need to win the Europa League. But well done to Alec Lewis. And more than that, if that is your wife, well done for being such a twat and managing to get married. Well done to you, sir. Well done. Dan, listen, absolutely. People are going to get carried away. But I get it. I completely get it, right? It's been such a bad season that this is now every egg. We're now at the stage where every single egg is in this one Europa League basket. And you know what's brilliant about this, Dan? This isn't just us. Man United are in exactly the same boat. They've had a bad season, and every one of their eggs is in this basket. So this basket is just full of eggs, all round, full of eggs, eggs. And I guess the question's going to be, I'm not impressed by either team. I think this is going to be a question of who wants it more on the night. And I know that's such a cliche, Dan. I know it is. No, but this isn't like I can sit there and go, God, man, you were a top team, or God, Spurs are a top team. This is a game of 2 teams that have stunk the place out this season. Who wants it more?
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, just going back to yesterday, the fans, who I'm most happy for is the fans. Right? Yeah, we deserve this as fans. But we've had a stinker of a season. And I'm so happy for us as fans because we deserve it. We deserve it because what this season has been atrocious league-wise. Yeah. But we find ourselves with a massive opportunity to win a competition, win a win a trophy. 2008, and then we're going back even further for a European trophy, 41 years. I mean, it's look, we deserve it, man, honestly. And whatever's gone on this season, we're all in it. Well, we all want to win it, and like that stuff, that comment you made, or that comment what came up on the screen about we didn't want us to win is absolute ridiculous. We want our team to win every game. It's
Yeah,
just I don't get it.
yeah. I think we're in this era, aren't we, where being critical apparently means that you don't want to win. Surely I was brought up that if you are critical and if you are observant and if you are analyzing things, it's because you want for the betterment. So, for example, when I used to work in the corporate world in the city, when we'd have meetings with our teams, it wasn't about, hang on, we've underperformed, you're all rubbish, this is terrible, we want to keep failing. It's, hang on, what have we not done well? How can we improve and get better? And unfortunately, what's happened is you've got a selection of YouTubers now that tell everyone else that it means you're not real fans. And I really find the childish side in that. Listen, I'll stick by my guns, Dan. Yeah, we should win this Europa League, but it's been a fucking god-awful season even the Europa League I've found really boring. But the league has been so bad that we've got to have one thing to hang on to. We've got to have this one shred of enjoyment, because Dan, I'll ask you this. I've said I think we're going to win it. If we don't, none of this means anything. If we don't, I won't be sitting there at the end of the season going, yeah, but we made it to a final. I'll be sitting there going, we finished 16th or 17th and we haven't won anything. So it's a fine line, isn't it? It's a real fine line now.
You're 100% spot on. We haven't done anything yet, right? We've had a straightforward run to this final. We have, but let's be honest here. Frankfurt was a tricky game. Yesterday was supposed to be a tricky game, but in the end, it was BODO. Really, they didn't impress me at all. And maybe their victories, and they've beaten some good European teams. They've got a very good home record, but maybe they weren't kind of crucial games. Do you know what I mean? They were like, there wasn't anything on the line as much.
Yeah.
And now when it gets to an occasion like this, and if you look at our players compared to BODO Glimt, we've got players who have won things. We've got experienced internationals. Player to player, we are better than them. We were 2 goals up from the first leg. The players turned up. They wanted it. And they just overpowered them, really. And in the end, this is what should happen. Spurs against BODO Glimt. We should be beating them. And I was worried. I've got to be honest, because of the hype of them, and they've got this great home record, and I got drawn into that. But after I've seen them over 2 legs against us, I mean, they're not that great.
Absolutely, and big up Neil. Absolutely, mate. Look, I think people have got to realise. Look, there were many people who didn't want Ramos when he was here and he won a trophy. There were many people. Well, when I say many people, Dan, I think like the entire fan base didn't want George Graham. He still won a trophy. It didn't mean that on that day at Wembley, no one could celebrate because they wanted George Graham out. I just think the internet has kind of destroyed this notion, Neil, for me. Big up to you for the chat as well. This notion, the internet has destroyed this notion for me that you can't be critical. You just have to say everything's great. And I want to talk to you about something, Dan, before we get into last night's game properly. There's this video flying around, I'm sure you've seen it, of Ange's motivational speech after the game.
Yes.
And loads of this, you have no idea, Dan. When I tell you have no idea how many times I've been sent that by people this morning, clipped on YouTube saying, Savva, watch this, now be a real fan. And what I'm sitting there thinking is, that's brilliant, but where has that been all season? Right? Like,
exactly.
It's all well and good showing me that after we've won a semi-final to BODO Glimt. But where are these motivational speeches when we're getting smacked up in the league by everybody and anybody? Like, there's got to be again, like, I like to think just a bit of normality rather than one way, the other, one way. Where are those speeches, Dan? When he's saying we deserve this. Hang on, Ange, you've set us up to lose 19 league games. Like,
look, that video, I saw it last night, and look, it was lovely to watch, fantastic. We got to the final, fair play to the team. They deserve it to get there. But you're right, Savva, like, this that little video there, and I know what's happened. I've seen a lot of fans now turn to, I'm back behind Ange, I'm Anging now, and it's just a little bit silly, isn't it? Like,
it's
you know,
got
what's he
mad.
going to say to them? What's he going to say
Mate.
to them? You know, he's got to push them. He's got to praise them. You know, this is what managers should be doing. He's not doing anything different than any other manager when they've had a crap season. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Look, and I think we're at the stage now, right, where I think people, especially grown-ups, when you've made up your mind, listen, I've got messages last night from people going, oh, I've changed my mind. I'm now Ange. And I'm like, cool, good. You do you, I'll do me. I think we've got to that stage now where people have made up their mind, right? Most adults have made up their mind, Dan. You know, nothing's going to change my mind. Doesn't mean I don't want to win a Europa League. Doesn't mean, look, I've done multiple videos. More than anything, this isn't about me as a fan, Dan. This isn't about you. This isn't about any other football fan. This club simply has to win this trophy for a million reasons. This is such a sliding doors moment. And what I find was quite sad was, like last night, I've seen it this morning, is the usual suspects get to a final and their first thought is to have a pop at people that don't like Ange. Like their first thought wasn't celebrating. And I just find that quite sad. I find that quite sad that, you know, listen, my first thought is I don't need to have a pop at an individual. I don't like Ange. Dan, I don't report to you. I don't report to anyone in this fan base. I don't like Ange. For me, that's me. When we win or lose, my first thought isn't that person. My thought is, yeah, I don't like the manager. Why can't we ever get along? Why can't we as a fan base just go, good, we're in a final, let's move on? Why are we so at each other?
I get what you're saying, yeah. And it, like, my first thoughts after winning that game was everybody as a Spurs fan should be over the moon and happy. And as I said, us fans deserve that chance to win a trophy. It's not calling out the Ange inners or Ange outers, or that's all just very silly and immature, isn't it, really? We all should be happy as a fan base to get to that final. And we come on to YouTube, we talk with our mates, we're on social media, we criticize, we praise. This is what we do here. We're fans, and it all gets a bit so silly, isn't it? When it's like coming at you to try and it's just silliness, and I wouldn't take much notice of it.
Yeah, no, it's all a bit silly. But let's get to the game. I think it would be fair to say the first half was an underwhelming game in all aspects from everybody, not just us, them. They played some pretty patterns, kept the ball, but without doing anything with it. We didn't keep the ball, but didn't ever look like we were going to concede. It didn't feel like a semi-final first half. I'm talking about the first half. It just felt a little bit flat, didn't it? I don't know if it was the weather or the size of the ground. It just felt all a bit strange.
Yeah, look, we were on it. We were closing them down. We weren't giving them the space. We were compact. And what we did in that first half, and I know it wasn't anything special, but we had a base there in defence, didn't we, in midfield? Basuma, Benson, core in front. We were organised, and that gave us the opportunity to go on and win that game and qualify. And it was organised. It's not. We haven't seen enough of it all season, Savva. We haven't, and this is what it's difficult for me to understand it from an Ange perspective. Yeah. Why haven't we played more like this throughout the season and last season? Because we can clearly do it, right? I'm not saying BODO or anything special, but we stopped them from playing. They didn't really know what to do. And the more the game went on, you'll get into the second half in a minute, but it was all very comfortable. I felt it was a bit too comfortable at half time. And I was thinking, blimey, surely BODO are going to really come at us at some point in this match. And they never did they? They never did.
You know what, Dan? I was speaking to someone last night. I was speaking to a Man U YouTuber last night. I'm not going to name which one. And we were both kind of saying the same thing, that it's really strange because we're in a final. Neither of our teams have played well at all this season. And it just feels strange because normally when teams are going to finals, it's not normally off the back of a horrendous season like this. But what he said to me was, and I thought he was spot on. He said, I saw a show you did the other day, Savva, where you said, could the difference be that BODO Glimt normally play their home game first? So they're normally playing the home game first, where it's a lot to play for. They're not 2 goals down. He said, I think the win at White Hart Lane knocked the stuffing out of them, because normally they come out. I've watched them at home this year, BODO, 3 or 4 times. They normally come out and they're very relaxed. They press, they're attacking. And last night, it just felt like it was almost like they knew they were beaten. As I said, they had like 62% or something in the first half of the ball, but did nothing with it. There was no penetration. They weren't whipping balls in. They weren't having shots. It was almost like they'd resigned to losing. And big up to my man Hooks. Mate, that's what I'm doing. Win the trophy, bang on. Celebrate, bang on. Standards, yeah. Season's not been good. I want him gone. Bang on.
Yeah, spot on. Yeah, spot on. I just think that our players, they saw that BODO team and they looked across the pitch and thought, we're better than them. We can't be losing this. We can't be, not getting through this tie against these players. We've already done the part of the job in the first leg, 3-1. It should have been 3-0. We conceded that sloppy goal. But, we just matched them all over the park. And we weren't anything special, Savva. It wasn't like a skillful, fantastic performance. It was just hard work, guys sticking to their jobs. And the more the game went on, we got those 2 goals. And it was so comfortable. With Savva, we're not going to see Spurs playing an easier semi-final for a long time.
No, of course. But, I mean, what I did like about the second half, look, I again, I've said it in the WhatsApp, you've probably seen it this morning. I don't think Spurs play any kind of football anymore. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing about a Spurs that I watch and go, this is really good. What I did like about the aspect yesterday was, first half, I thought we were sort of second to every ball. BODO were winning every 50-50. They were getting on the ball, getting it down, playing. Second half, I thought once we scored that goal, you saw a renewed energy in the players. And suddenly all the players that were giving the ball away suddenly weren't giving it away. Bentancur, for example, first half, I thought he was awful. Second half, I thought he was brilliant. Put his foot on the ball. Suddenly Solanke and Johnson are tracking back in that second half, whereas in the first half, it wasn't as much. So we all know a goal can do wonders for confidence. But I do want to give a massive shout out. I've said this before. I want to say that over the 2 legs for me, Basuma was my standout player. Basuma, for me, does so much more than anyone gives him credit for. Basuma, for me, is a player that's been playing in this kind of passing system that we're meant to have at the base of a free, which isn't his game. But last week and this week, he's almost played in a double pivot where he's been allowed to get forward, get back. But more importantly, he's putting out fires all over the place. And again, Basuma, for me, gets all the stick. For me, he was our main man yesterday again, just in my opinion.
Look, I thought it was good. And Bentancur, like you said, probably more the second half. I think that double pivot helped, didn't it? 2 in front of the back. And it just really gave that team some kind of security there, working together. And look, it just wasn't Ange's normal game plan, was it? We kind of sat back. We were more careful with the ball. We weren't going gung-ho. And I don't think fullbacks inverted at all. It was just a different type of Spurs performance. And Basuma playing in that system suits him better. And that's why we saw a better performance for Basuma. It's simple football, isn't it, really, Savva? You set up the team correctly, you're going to get the most out of these players.
This is what's baffled me, Dan. If I look at the Frankfurt second leg, if I look at that leg yesterday, when we don't do the inverted fullbacks and when we're not wide open in midfield, we actually look like a team unit. But every time we do that, we then seem to go back to the Premier League and go back to this crazy, chaotic system. This is where my head and my heart with Ange are so conflicted. When you've got a manager and you want to like your manager, you want to like what they do, but you see them do the same thing all the time and go, how have you not learned? How have you not learned that this is what works? Right? I think I know what it is, though. I think when we play like we played yesterday and in the second half against Frankfurt, we offer nothing as a team going forward. And I think that's what his football principles won't allow. And what I mean by that is you watch all the games where we've defended like that, even in the Brentford game where we smashed and grabbed a 2-0. We smashed and grabbed a 2-0 yesterday. smashed and grabbed a 1-0 away win at Frankfurt. All of those games, we've looked really poor going forward, but solid defensively. I don't think he knows how to get the balance. I'm not knocking him. I just don't think he's ever had to do it, Dan.
No, and look, that is spot on, Savva, what you just said there. Look, Ange has adjusted the team for these European fixtures, Frankfurt and you know, these 2 games against BODO Glimt, and it's worked. Yeah, it's worked. And you have to question Ange. He never comes out and says too much about this. He never openly says, I changed the game plan. I've learned from my mistakes.
Yeah.
And this is the problem for me. Just own up to it, Ange, because clearly we could all see as fans that when we play like that, we're better and we're getting results. But he's just a very strange character, isn't he? I don't quite get him as a manager or as a person in that kind of way, you know?
Mm. Yeah, I agree. And sustainable shooter, I'd agree with you. I'd say we are better without the majority obsession. And again, the more you look at these games in isolation, you look at the Brentford game where they completely dominated it. You look at the Man City game where they dominated it. You know, Frankfurt 2 weeks ago, last night. These are teams that are dominating us possession-wise. But we look more organised. We actually look like a unit. And again, this is... I just can't understand. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you have to go to the Premier League and put 10 men behind the ball. I'm not saying that. But we've all seen that when we don't invert Porro and Udogie, we look better. We've all seen that when Bentancur and Basuma aren't asked to be fake number 6s and are actually playing in a double pivot, we look better. So if you said to me, and you know I don't want Ange next year, but if you said to me, Ange is going to be here next year, but we're going to scrap the chaos and the inverted wing, fine. But my worry is that we won't, Dan. My worry is that people are going to be fooled into thinking that his chaotic football wins the Europa League. For me, it's not his football that's won the Europa League. It's when we stop playing his football. And that's not, again, Dan, I'm not knocking him. I'm giving him credit that he changes for this competition, never for the English games. I just don't get it. I just don't understand.
I'm not having that. I'm not having it, really. I'm not having that, really, because and like you said, Savva, a little while ago, that Ange struggles to do 2 things well, right? Defend and attack. Yeah, we've seen us defend well and get some results, but attacking wise, last night we weren't good at all, were we? Yeah, let's be real here. We weren't. We got a couple of goals. One was a set piece, and one was a deflected cross. Well, not a deflected cross, a cross what went in. It was like kind of a bit of a fluke. We saw Porro do it in the Premier League a little while ago. So you're right, Savva. I would not be. You know, I still want Ange gone. I do, even if we win the Europa League. For me, it's not been good enough. And, you know, this run in the Europa League, which has been great, fantastic, but it's been straightforward, isn't it? You know, it's been quite a easy run to get to that final. And look, Savva, I'm not going to change my opinion on Ange. I'm sorry, I'm not.
No, listen, and you don't have to. But listen, Dan, I've known you for a while now. We're Spurs fans. We're not Ange fans. We're Tottenham fans. This is this whole notion. I just love it. This notion that because we don't like the manager means we want the team to fail. Honestly, I feel like when I see comments that say that, and I see YouTubers that say that, I sit there and I think to myself, are we in the playground? Like, are we in the playground? Like, you know, my dad's bigger than your dad type sort of nonsense. I never want Spurs to fail. Hence why I want a better manager so that we can move up that table, so that we can actually look like a team. Doesn't mean I've not sat here one game this season and said, hope we lose today. You would think I have said that from the amount of people that come into my chat. Oh, here's the people that don't want to win. Who said that? Who has ever said we don't want to win? Like, it's just madness, Dan.
Look, it's just what we're doing is it's YouTube, it's social media. This season has been difficult for all fans who really like Ange, and we've lost and lost and lost, and we keep on calling Ange to be sacked, blah blah blah. And I just think it's unfortunately this is the day we're in now, these days of people who give their opinions on social media. It's all a bit playground stuff, isn't it? And I just think it's always going to be like this. Savva. It
Yeah,
always is,
yeah.
I'm afraid. It's just, unfortunately, it's the age we're in, silliness, you know, banter. But come on, like, you know, we can all see what's happened this season with our team, and it's just not been good enough. Ange has not set this team up well enough, and 19 defeats in the league is unacceptable. Cut one aside. A decision needs to be made in the summer of bringing in a coach who can do both attack and defend and not lose that many games.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. Listen, I completely agree. And again, when we're saying I've been critical of Suma, he hasn't been consistent enough since he's been at the club. I know, but isn't it funny when he plays in his position that he actually looks good? This is not a coincidence. I'm telling people, this is not a coincidence. If you play him in the number 8, this is what he does. When you play him in the number 6, he is not that player. Look, I want to talk about, there's one player I want to talk about. And this player for me, I thought, again, was really poor last night, but needs to get form back, Dan, for the final. This player needs to get form back, because if we move the conversation to Man United, I'm not going to sit here, Dan, and pretend Man United are amazing. This is not the Man United that we would have grown up with, right? This is not the Man United where you went, oh, it don't matter what we do, we're losing. Fergie time. This isn't that Man United. But this Man United is better than that BODO Glimt. And for me, we're going to have to attack much better. We're going to actually have some patterns of play when we play Man United in the final. And Kulu, for me, is pivotal, because Kulu, I don't think for about 2 months before his injury, since he's come back from the injury, he looks way off it, Dan. Like, he looks unfit, no confidence, heavy touch. Nothing's working. And we've got 2 games now, Dan. We've got 2 games to get this boy's head and body and mind in shape. What do you make of the whole Kulu thing and how important he could be for the final?
I mean, here's a player who we've seen on his day can do some fantastic things for us.
Correct.
Right? We've seen it. He's got talent, clearly got talent. But what's happened to him, you know, recently since he's come back from injury, he's not the same player. I can't explain it, because everybody's saying he's not a winger, so he's got to play more centrally. Now we've been playing more centrally, and we're not seeing anything from him. And it is a concern that we're going to need something in an attacking sense when it gets to that final. We can't just stink it out. We can't just stink it out. We've got to attack as well. We need to find a way. I mean, you look at that forward line, and we can talk about Solanke. I don't know if you're going to, but, you know, again, a hard-working performance. He got his goal, so fair play to him. You look at Son going to be coming back into the side. You know, he's another player who's fallen off as well. It's not just Kulu, it's Son.
No,
He's not been in good form at all. And
then
then you've got on the other side, you've got Johnson. And Johnson, you know, he doesn't offer much other than popping up with the odd goal. So, Savva, I'm like you. I am worried.
Like 10 men, Dan? Like when Johnson isn't scoring, like last night, I don't know if I'm being harsh here. Last night, I can't think of a single contribution Brennan Johnson made to the game.
Nothing.
I'm not being. I can't remember him playing. That's bad.
Yeah, it's not, and that's my problem with Johnson. You know, other than the goals he scores, on the season. But I'm worried, Savva, like you, when it gets to that final, where is the creativity going to be coming from? And Man United are better than BODO Glimt. Man United have got some good players, and some of them have stepped up in this European competition, like so Casemiro. They're scoring goals, they're winning games, and that final. And you know, you could say we're favourites. I don't think so. I think it's 50-50. I think it could go either way. I really do.
I agree. Listen, I obviously I'm gonna tie my flag to the mast and say that we win it, because we're in it now. It's like 50-50, right? We're going to win this. But this Man United team are starting to score goals again, and that's what worries me. For months, people were going, "Oh, Man, you can't score. Man, you are toothless." But in the last 2 months, Man, you have had 4 or 5 games where they've got 3, 4, 5 goals. Like they've got,
and they're getting their players back. They're getting injuries back. Their team are coming back. Players who have been out for a while.
Agreed. But I mean, look, it's, you know, we are going to have to find a way for me of attacking better. And again, Swanix, I don't think you've actually listened to what I've said there. When you say the amount of goal we have scored tells you this team has plenty of goals in it, I didn't say it doesn't. What I'm saying is when you look at all the games where we've adopted this more traditional defence approach in terms of, when I say this, I mean just having a back four, Dan, by the way. When I'm saying defensive approach, I mean having a back four. Morning, Lubo.
Morning.
What I'm saying is, Swanix, in those games where Ange has had a more traditional back four, you see that going the other end, we don't look like we've got anything. I'm saying, Swanix, he needs to find a balance between the two. Because whenever we score loads of goals going forward, we're doing this crazy inverted chaotic stuff, which is great going forward. But at the back, we look wide open. When we have the fullbacks as fullbacks, and I don't know about you, gentlemen, I'll come to you, Lubo. I love seeing traditional fullbacks that actually play at the back and get on the outside like Udogie did yesterday. I don't think he had a good game, but he was offering, overlapping, trying to get balls in the box. I prefer that than I do both inverted gung-ho. I don't know about you. And good morning to you, sir.
How are we doing, guys?
Good.
Everybody well on this good Friday morning? Hey.
Happy Friday to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're going to Bilbao. There you go.
Well, you've got your flights booked?
All done. All sorted. Going to be a very long day. Going to have to be at Luton for about 5 in the morning and probably won't get home till about 7 the following morning. So happy days.
You know what,
sorry?
I've been offered this morning that I've got a ticket and flights and a hotel, but it does mean taking 5 days away from home because of the way the tickets and and everything works out. And I just can't do it. I just can't be away from home for 5 days. Yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is.
You could do the sports options 3-day trip where you go on the Tuesday, and you're back Thursday. And if there's still accommodation left, you've got accommodation within the higher price as well.
Yeah, I'll have a look. It's just obviously I've got to factor everything in with all of my content create. I've got to factor everything in. Yeah. Anyway, and the puppy and the wife working and all that. Anyway, Lubo, talk to me. We're nearly all happy as a fan base. There's still a lot of people going at other people, but other than that, we're nearly all happy this morning, Lubo.
Pretty much. Pretty much. You know what? We have done nothing pretty much for 80%, 90% of the time, but moan for 18 months. So let's be happy today. It was a thoroughly professional. Absolutely. They dug in. It was a professional performance. Wasn't pretty. Didn't have to be pretty. Just had to be effective like yesterday. And they got it spot on. You know, BODO never took over. They never dominated possession, never dominated the game, never really put us under too much trouble, did they? You know,
well, they had all the possession first half, but I was surprised, Lubo, because when I've watched them this year, and again, I was saying to Dan, I don't know if it's because this was the first leg. Sorry, I don't know if this was because the home leg was second. Normally, when I watch them at home, they come out the traps. They're quick. Their passing's more forward thinking. Yesterday was a lot of. It reminded me of us sometimes. It was a lot of passing sideways, centre half, goalkeeper. And after about 20 minutes, I'm thinking, we'll take this. You're not. I thought there was going to be an Alamo at some point. Yeah, and there wasn't.
Listen, full marks to the team. You know, listen, we criticise them enough. They're wide open, plenty of times. We give away God knows how many shots. Forget the goals, you know, the shots and the possession and everything we give away. But yesterday was very, very good. First half, I thought was the quality of football from both teams was pretty poor. Neither of them could hold on to the ball that well.
Well, they did. I mean, they did, Lubo, but just without pressure. They had 62% possession and like a 98% pass accuracy. So they did hold on to it.
But you can do. Listen, we were 70% both games against Forest, and we came out with 0 points. So
I agree. I'm just counting what you said is that neither team kept the ball. They did keep it. They just didn't do anything with it. Whereas we didn't keep it at all, but they never looked like scoring.
No. Listen, I thought the back four again were very good. Mm-hmm. I thought Basuma again has come to the party.
Yep.
Thought was very good. I thought Benson Cole was good as well. Kulu was poor. Richie was poor. Richie's not a technical player, and you've got to be more technical on a pitch like that. I'm surprised that Kulu just didn't come to the party last night, because he is technical. You know, he gets the ball, and there were times yesterday where he was shielding the ball well and holding players off, and he gave the ball off. It was all very tight, wasn't it, at times? But he just doesn't seem to. I don't think he's properly fit.
Yeah, it's something. Is it just that? I mean, Dan and I were just talking about Kulu before you arrived. Is it just that? Because, you know, we seem to, you know, these players have been back a while now, and Kulu's been back a little while. And don't get me wrong, I'm not expecting players come back and day one, you're like, wow, you're amazing. But he's played a little bit of football now since he's come back. Still looks very sluggish.
Yes.
I don't know. He looks slower than ever. And yesterday, I mean, I don't know if you saw it, there was a foot race between him and
Oh God, yeah.
And it was, honestly, the guy that was running with him wasn't even quick, right? It was like me running, and I'm 42 and I can't really run. I've never been a runner, right? I'm more of a cyclist, right? But this guy just went past Kulu like the road runner. Like I don't know. Is there something else to it with Kulu?
No, he's not got pace, has he? He's not one of those players. Gets the ball, he turns, everything's at a slower level. That's the thing.
Except, by the way,
he's not playing, is he?
I mean, Dan, he's been back. This is his 7th game back, by the way. So this isn't like, oh, he's been back 1 week. He's been back for a month now. If I look at the dates, and he's played minutes against Wolves, Frankfurt, Forest, Liverpool, BODO, West Ham, BODO. And I don't know, just something doesn't seem right. You know, listen, I'm about to do YouTube stuff here. I might be reading too much into it, guys. Is this a guy that doesn't want to be there, or is this just a guy that is not fit?
Out of form. There could be a fitness issue. He's not himself. He's not doing the things that we've seen he can do and impact on games. I can't explain it. I don't understand the loss of form, performance. He's literally offering us nothing in a game at the moment. You think last night, did he do anything good in an attacking sense? And he's there in the team to create for us, to score goals, to assist. And if we're not getting that out of him, then what use is he? Is there another option?
Mm. Well, Dan, Lubo and I talked about this the other day, and I said, Lubo, I think that against BODO, and Danny called it, you know, against BODO, you could see we missed Maddison in terms of link-up play. I think we've got nothing from back to front. When Maddison doesn't play, you could see it. There was no one that gets the ball in that midfield and pings it right, pings it left. That's okay against BODO when you're 2-0 up.
Yeah.
I do worry against Man United, Lubo. Where is it coming from? Because other than that, the only creative spark I see is Porro.
Well, you got 2 options for me. One option, in fact, neither option Ange will consider, because he just doesn't think out the box. The first one would be Spence at right back and Porro on right wing instead of Johnson. Because he's going to put the balls into the box for Solanke, and that was a nice finish. Yeah, it reminded me, you know, it was a poacher's goal, wasn't it, last night? Ball's there, off the keep, bang, he's straight in, and that reminded me of the goal he got at Old Trafford in September. Was it Bergvaul's header? There was a corner.
Yes,
header.
That's
got
right.
a hand to it, and he put it in for the third goal. I thought he worked really hard yesterday. I thought, you know, it was interesting because they were showing on TNT after the match. They were showing that they did an analysis after the game on TV of Solanke's pressing, and literally from the first whistle, and how, you know, the defenders were put under pressure from the first minute, which was great. The second option, which I've said, which is outside the box, and people may well laugh, but he is the only number 10 we've got at the club now that's fit, is Mikey Moore. And I know he's 17, and I know he's hardly played. I'm aware of all of that, and it's a final. It couldn't be a bigger game. But I would throw him into the next 2 league games, see how he does. You know, Ahmad is a superb player.
Yeah, good player.
But we only know he's a superb player because he's been given the chance. And the same with Nweri. Let's give Moore a chance. Give him a proper chance, not a few minutes here, a few minutes there. Chuck him in for 2 games or 60, 70 minutes of both. Let's see how he does. You know, for me, there is no creativity. And, you know, you can shit out a win. You can nick it by 1 goal. Maybe we'll get a penalty. It'll come from a set piece. But we want to have more options than that for the final.
We're not going to, Ian, are we? And I totally agree with you. I would be given more of a chance. But I know Ange, he's not going to do it. How we're going to win that final, the only way we're going to win it is getting the full-backs out wide, trying to get width, crosses into the box, runners coming into the box to finish off, trying to get a goal. It's going to be scrappy. It's going to be a game of set pieces again. It's just going to be I can't see suddenly we're going to know how to attack playing this way under Ange. You know, I can't see it. It's just going to be kind of like we saw last night. You know, it was a corner. Romero rose well, done fantastic to get the assist there and then Solanke with the finish. We're going to kind of stink the place out a bit. I think that's the only way we're going to win this final. We're not suddenly going to start attacking well in this system, how Ange plays now. It's just going to be a togetherness. It's going to be like players wanting it. That's it. That's the only chance we're going to win it.
Do you know what? I must tell you, Dan, you know, we've seen so many finals that have never failed to live up to expectation. But at the end of the day, who remembers how good or bad a final was? You only remember No, right, but you only remember if you're thinking back years and years, you know, you remember Ricky Villa 81. That was a special final. That replay was superb. You know, you don't remember. You know, does anyone, you know, when United beat Liverpool and Cantona got the extra time goal, United fans will remember Cantona from the edge of the box. But, you know, you think about the game, can't remember the game. Nobody remembers the game. Who cares? Your name's on the trophy and that's all that counts. So I don't care whether it's attractive, whether it's boring, just win the game. Just win it. That's all.
Just quickly, I need to do some super chats before we do. The breaking news on Sky Sports at the moment is that Xavi Alonso has told Bayer Leverkusen that he is leaving in the summer. I'm guessing that's got Real Madrid maybe written all over it, Xabi Alonso. I just thought that was quite interesting. Lubo, I do agree with you. We'll come back to that in 1 second. Let me just quickly go to some super chats. By the way, I think it's Cy Pennington. I didn't say again. We've got to be really careful with misquoting what I said, please. Because I didn't say we've got attacking fluidity when we have inverted fullback. I said what we have is we score lots of goals because it's chaotic and we fly forward. I've never, Lubo will back me up. He streams with me nearly every day. I have never, ever said attacking fluidity in the same sentence as an Angepostecoglou football team. I think we are so far from fluid. It's unbelievable. But look, let me get some super chats in. Big up to Hennessy. So big up, Savva. Love the work rate. Thank you very much, mate. Listen, if you want to make it in the game, you've got to put in the graft, right? That's just, unfortunately, anything in life. So big up to you, Hennessy. I really appreciate you. A brand new member. Welcome to Football Heritage TV. Machina Joe. I always say it as Machina Joe. I don't know. That could be Machina Joe. Machino Joe. I don't know. Like, big up to you. Let me know how the correct way of saying it. But big up to you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Mark Taylor said, get Savva to Bilbao. Mate, listen, I've got the money. I can get to Bilbao. It's just about what I've been offered at the moment is, can I take 5 days away from doing this? It's a big thing. When you, literally, let me just put it out there, right? When you start your own business, so to speak, which is not just this big up, all the other work I do for like the Sun, when I work for William Hill, all that sort of stuff, it's setting up your own limited company and your own business. When you set that up, the money isn't as free flowing at first as it is when you've been doing it for years. So for me to take 3-4 days away, I then have to look at what money am I losing across that week. And so I have to give it a real good think. But thank you very much, Mark. Always appreciate you. And when the Spurs go marching in, said, morning, Savva. Good morning. Good morning to you, sir. I hope you're well. As said, nice to see a professional performance for the lads. Correct. Now on to Bilbao, and let's bring that trophy home. Big clear out and coming in June, and we're going to talk about that. We are going to talk about that in a minute. Whilst I read the rest of the super chats, you just admire the lovely banisters on Lubo's landing. You just admire those beautiful banisters. Big up to you. Thank you so much for that. D&B forever. Where would we be if I don't get one of these every show from you? I always worry that something's happened to you. So thank you very much. Big up for the usual super sticker, my man. Thank you. Really appreciate you. Big up to the Aussie Ange hater. Big up to you as well. Let's cut Ange some slack today. Let's cut Ange some slack today. We're in a final. Doesn't mean you have to like him, but we don't need to go in deep. Big up to you, Aussie Ange hater. Really appreciate you. Big up to a user who said protest still happening against Levy. We'll talk about that in a minute as well, because this is, again, we'll talk about that. We will. Big up to you, a user. I'm going to leave this here for the moment. Big up Ian JD, who said, with our injuries, do we now play our youngsters in the league games? I feel we are very short of game changers. Ian, I'm going to leave that because that's going to be one of my topics as well. We've got protests. We've got what we do in the next few games, and then the other topic I just said we had was going to be about the clear out. So I'll leave that there. I'll come back to that. And Andy Lester has said, big up Savva. We must win this trophy. Andy, we must. It's not a nice to have anymore. It's an absolute must. And you know the problem is, Andy, every Man United channel, and by the way, I was watching Rants and Bants this morning, who's one of the biggest Man United channels, and he was saying exactly the same thing we're sitting here and saying now. This is not a nice to have. This is fundamental that Man United win it. So this is going to be the who wants it more or the who needs it more derby. Big up to you, Andy. Appreciate that. And Rob Frank just come in with a super sticker. Thank you very much, Rob. I always appreciate you and your generosity. So thank you very much. If you haven't liked the show, please do. We've got 528 people in here, only 137 likes, which is absolutely shit. You guys are all telling me, be happy. We're in a final. Where's your happiness? Smash that like button.
Smash the like, guys.
And so can I just answer Mark Taylor? Yes, I did see the 72 final with Wolves. Fantastic. I mean, I've got to tell you something. There was 6,000 or 7,000 Spurs behind one of the goals for the away leg, the first game. It was mental. We won 2-1. I'm sure that it was the game that Chivers scored from 25 yards. It was just a fabulous night. We finished off with that Alan Mullery goal in the second leg. Would be nice to see Spurs in a final against a non-English team, though. But there you go. Would
by
be
the
nice.
way, Florian Plettenberg has just confirmed that, yes, Xabi Alonso is joining Real Madrid. So anyone that for a brief second went, Xabi Alonso, no, he's going to Real Madrid, all right? He's going to Real Madrid. He's not coming to Tottenham Hotspur. Guys, big up to each and every one of you. Thank you very much for anyone who's joined. I'm glad that we're all feeling a little bit better today. Let's talk about this, guys. We play in, it's 12 days. It feels really sudden. Like it feels like it's right on top of us right now. And it's different, Lubo, because if I remember rightly, the Champions League final year we got, the season ended and there was like a 3-week gap, I'm pretty sure, to the final. This one's happening during the season. What do we do the next two games, guys? Because it's the age-old conundrum. You don't want to injure players, but you also can't just have 12 days where people don't get any minutes in their legs. What would you guys do for Palace and engage Villa? Yeah. What Villa? So Palace is Sunday, Villa's Friday,
on the Friday.
United's the Wednesday. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think, look, Ange said, we all saw his little video after the game in the dressing room. He told these players that they've got to start, really playing well in these two matches leading up to that final. They need to get some rhythm, play well, don't just fold, don't just not play at all. That's what the message is from him. Will the players do it? That's another question, because in the league, then they're just not turning up, are they really? So I don't know. I just think just a bit of rotation is important in these two games. Give players lots of game time as much as possible. Like Ian said, try more. Give him some game time. Because we might need him in that final. We might need something off the bench to come on and make a difference in a game. Wilson needs minutes. Son needs minutes. And look, I just think it's just got to be sensible. And she's got to be sensible with selections. But I don't want to just see us just give up and not play at all. We've got to be playing well leading into that final. We do. It's a massive, massive game, biggest game for so long.
And if you look, like, so lots of people are referencing, and by the way, apologies for this. This only ever looks like this when I'm about to go and get it cut. My barber tells me off if I go there and it's got powder or wax in it. He hates it. So just thought I'd share that with you. Dan, if lots of people talking about that kind of rousing speech after the game, Ange mentions in that speech, doesn't he, that we're going to use the next 2 games to prepare. Yeah. So that's I don't know how to take that. Does that mean that all of these players are going to play, or are we going to go straight back to Danso, Davis, Gray, Spence? What does it mean?
Well, maybe he needs to work on this new system now. You know, that what we've seen in Europa. Maybe we just need to stick with that, but then try and do something in an attacking sense more. You know, because that's what we need to work on, isn't it? Oh, we're defending better now in this competition. Now, can we attack better? So what they need to be doing in training leading up to this final is trying to think of ways how we're going to attack better so we can make a more of an impact in that sense of the game. No, I think that makes sense.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Lubo, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because obviously the word injuries, you're going to hear that word a lot in the next 12 days, aren't you? Everyone's just going to be so shit scared of injuries. But, you know, we are running out. You've only got X amount of players that are going to play, right? He's not suddenly going to chuck in Williams Barnett, is he? He's not going to suddenly chuck in a JE. So what's he do, Lubo?
He's got to stick with he's mainly got to stick with the first team, basically. It's interesting. So Sunday will be interesting because Palace have got their cup final next Saturday, haven't they? Against City. So none of their boys are going to want to get injured. So we'll see what happens. Listen, if he makes 2 or 3 changes, brings players on, takes them off, just keep them fresh. The league results are irrelevant at this stage. They're absolutely irrelevant. It's just about the final. We've got 2 games. We ought to be beating Palace. You would think with Villa going for Champions League, we'll lose there. So for me, we get 3 points from the 2 games. That's what I would expect us to get if we weren't in the cup final Wednesday week. So, you know, we should be beating the Palace team that are not going to want to get too involved with the cup final round the corner. So,
but do you know what? Do you know what, Lubo? And I agree with you. In theory, I agree with you. But I watched Palace the other night. God, am I getting old? Why can I suddenly not remember anything to do with my own life?
I played Forest.
Thank you. That's it. I did a watch along for it. Do you know what? I do so many watch alongs, Lubo, that I can't remember who I support anymore or anything.
You're trying to do a poro for minutes on YouTube, aren't you now?
Exactly, mate. Exactly. But the point I was getting at was I watched that game and before the game we were saying in the chat, listen, Forest are going to be well up for this because they've got Champions League to play for. Palace can't get relegated. Palace are going to have a respectable league year, but they've got the cup final. Palace came out like they looked good. Palace came out, they were energized, they were up for it, they were working hard. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion, but I do agree with you now. Now we're in the cup final. These last 2-3 league games don't mean anything because let's be fair, the lowest we can finish is 1 place below where we are. Right, the lowest we can finish is 17th. But what Ange was saying there, right, about good morning, welcome to Macau. Good morning. What we were saying is what Ange was saying was we want to use the next 2 games that are coming up in the league to prepare for that. So I'm intrigued to see when we play on Sunday against Palace. Is it going to be Danso, Davis, Spence, Gray, Sarr? Jay, and if I'm not wrong, didn't Tell pull up last night? If I'm not wrong, didn't Tell pull up with a hamstring in the last couple of minutes? I don't know if I'm making that up.
He got a stamp on the foot and he was laying down on the floor.
Oh,
like a really painful stamp. I think he finished the game, if I remember correctly.
but yeah, like as you said, I'm not bothered so much about the results of these games coming up. As long as we don't, I don't want to get battered 5-0. I don't want anything embarrassing. But do you wrap up Solanke and Cotton Wool? By the way, that's not me thinking he's good, but do you wrap up Bentancur in Cotton Wool? Because, no Son. I don't know if Son's going to be fit for the final. No, no James Maddison. We're running out of creative footballers here, aren't we?
No, I don't think we should wrap anyone up, man. These players have got to play. They've got to perform. They've got to improve leading up to this final. Yes, we can bring them off after so many minutes and rest them. But look, we need to start playing well and leading up. Now we've got to that final. There should be a buzz amongst these players. They've got a massive opportunity. Yeah, they've got to be putting in a shift. They should be going out against Palace on Sunday and putting in a shift and showing that they've won the win, because it's all about form. Yeah, these players need to.
It's all about something. That's a lovely face. Hang on. I need that. I need that in my life. Hang on. Hang on. That is going to make a wonderful, wonderful sticker on WhatsApp. Yeah, I mean, Mikhail, let me come to you. Look, we've lost Dan. He's right. Surely now that
in 2 minutes.
No worries. Surely now, Mikhail, the players have that spring in their step, whether they played well or not, whether it was a vintage performance or not. Surely now, the next 12 days, everyone's on a high, buzzing. They want to play against Palace. They want to play against Villa, don't they? They want to get into the groove.
Yeah, and I also think as much as the league doesn't matter, it's good to keep that vibe going.
Yeah,
because as you said, imagine if we get smashed twice by Crystal Palace and Villa, then the mood goes down a bit, right? Because I know they don't care, they know we don't care, right? Everyone knows that nobody cares about those two games from our perspective, but still, as a professional, as a sportsman, you never like losing, right? It's never about losing. You always try to win. And I get it. When the motivation is not there, then it's easier to justify the loss, and it's also harder to motivate. Like, it's harder to get yourself going in a game. But still, I don't think we should just roll an under-21s team and just get smashed, right? Or, no, to be fair, if we roll that under-21s team, they can get smashed because it's not these players that will play in the final that are getting smashed. If you get what I mean, right? But overall, I think we should treat those games with respect they deserve, and the teams we will play against with respect they deserve. And I think that there are plenty of players in this team that can play some part in both of those games and not get injured, or we do not risk. Of course, you always risk an injury, but it's not like they are fatigued or anything, right? I think there are plenty of players in that team that can play. I think in both games we will see, against Palace we will see a bit of rotation, and I suppose against Villa we will see more rotation. Although, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the game got moved, right? They moved the game to Friday, the Villa game. So
yeah, the Villa game's on the Friday night. Yeah, the same as the Man U Chelsea.
Yeah, I think they play Chelsea. Yeah, but nevertheless, right?
Chelsea are the real winners here. Chelsea and Villa are the real winners here, Mikhail, because they're both chasing Champions League football, and they're going to have two teams that 5 days later only care about one game. So the teams that should be pissed off here are Nottingham Forest, right? Newcastle. They should be the teams pissed off. But
because there is a bit of a break between Friday and Wednesday when we play the final. I would like to see the first team play at least some minutes, right? I don't expect Mickey van de Ven, for example, to play, because it's too risky to have him play and risk an injury. But guys like Bentancur and Solanke and other guys, I think they will play to keep themselves in the rhythm of playing, right? Because I also think that just taking a complete break and not giving them any minutes in both matches is also a stupid thing, right? Because they need that rhythm, they need that that game time, and they need to be in the vibe of playing the game, right? Rather than just sitting on the bench for next 13 days or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Dan, good morning to you. It's always funny seeing Dan before about 2 p.m. I always feel that you go to bed at about 5 a.m. and wake up at about 3 p.m. I kind of get that feeling.
Sometimes along those lines. No, terrible night last night.
Oh gosh.
But
oh dear.
Still good that we won the game.
Did
That's
you
what matters at the end of the day?
after the game? Did you go and join Perchy on his fun adventure night out?
Oh, I can't say I did. I went to bed.
His voice note when he was getting indoors was fucking hilarious. Oh, wanker. Really? Wouldn't have guessed, mate.
No, it didn't show. I've given that extremely energetic compared to some of us. Man.
He cracks me up. Dan, morning to you, mate. Morning to you. It is a good day. I was just saying to Lubo and Macau and the guys, it just feels like this final is here. Do you know what I mean? It feels like it's really, really on top of us and right there. 2 games to go. Look, I don't know. Has Sonny got any chance of making this final? Is this going to be our
Harry Kane?
Is this going to be our Kane 2019 moment where suddenly Sonny's thrust in and we all go, oh, but he wasn't fit? Or what's going on, guys?
If Son doesn't start in the next 2 games, then there is no chance in hell that he should start in that final. And if he does, then the manager's just gone and done probably one of the most stupid things he could possibly do. I know we can count a list, whatever, and that, yeah, but that would be worse than playing Kane in the Champions League final, in my opinion. Because at least Kane, even when he's battered, you know there can be a goal somewhere in the box. Son has just not been delivering this year and coming straight back from an injury into 1 game. I just don't see where we could actually get anything out of him personally. Yeah, okay, 15 minutes to go. It's not going our way. Nothing's there. We're desperate for it. Bring him on, whatever. You got to do what you got to do. But if he's okay to play the next 2, what is it we got left? 2 or 3 games? 3 games, isn't it?
We got 2 before the final.
2 before the final, yeah.
Okay. Right. With the next 2 games, if you can get him stable for at least, let's say, a game and a half out of that, then okay, I could go with the idea of him starting. Because we haven't exactly got much option there anyway. And one thing I still think Son can do if you put him on the spur at the moment, inside or outside the box, is use both his feet and put it in the back of the net better than anyone we have got there. But we got to at least try and sharpen him up, even though he's going to go on there blunt no matter what, basically. If we can get a game and a half out of him, or at least 2 half of games out of him, I can argue the point as such. But if he only shows up, comes on for 10, 15 minutes here and there, there's no way we can start him. With the rest of the game, I think this one against Man U is going to be one of the most interesting games a lot of people have ever watched. Because there's just, for me, there's a couple of ways it can just go. This can just turn out to be another West Ham Spurs game in a way, because both teams have been absolutely shocking this year. This game could actually end up being one of the most passionate games from the fans and the players that you're going to see in a long time, because both sets of fans know that it's not just about the cup, this one. This one is about bloody saving a club for the next 2 or 3, 4 seasons, basically. There is so much to ride on this one. It isn't just the cup. And everybody knows it. The fans know it. I'm pretty sure the players know it. The managers obviously know it. Who's going to use what tactics? I think this one could turn out to be definitely one or the other. I don't think there's going to be an in-betweener with this game. I think it's either going to be an absolutely excellent game, or it's just going to be a game where you just really don't want to watch it in some ways. And I think Man U, their biggest problem is defensively, even though they've got some good defenders. I just think they look absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
But then so do we. Going forward, I don't think they look great, and nor do we. But I think it's just one of those games with who's going to turn up on the day, basically, and what manager gets it right at half time.
You know then what the maddest thing is, right? Because you said that we don't look defensively solid, right? If we play like we did against Frankfurt and BODO away, we actually do look defensively solid, right? This is the maddest thing about it, and this is something that I cannot wrap my head around, right?
I agree.
Which is, like, clearly these players have this type of performance in them, right? They can be solid defensively. So how comes we lost 19 games this season, conceding as stupid of a goals as we did, right? It's tactics, right? It's most likely the setup and the approach towards the game, right? But I look at it, right, and for the love of God, I cannot predict how we are going to play in that final, right?
No.
Because I actually think if we play with our head screwed on, right, and we actually are focused and we play the balanced game of because against BODO yesterday, right, even though they had more possession than us, we actually attacked them, we pressed them, we had spells of games where we took control of the game and were attacking and were not we weren't creating much because there isn't much creativity in the team, right? But still we were putting like dangerous crosses in, we are winning corners and all that stuff, right? So I think if we show up like that in the final, we have like all the chance in the world to win, right? But if we play this like gang ho madness that we employ in the league, right? Then I think United can punish us on the counter, right? They have extremely rapid wingers, right? Bruno Fernandez, we can say whatever we want about him, right? But he can spray a ball. Like, Højlund, he's fast and strong, right? There will be issues if we play with an extremely high line and just open up. I don't think we will. I think Andrew will take the approach of BODO and Frankfurt, right? But
on another side of it, looking at Man United and how they've all been all season. Now, this is not saying what I want to do or what forgive me this morning, bit stuttery, or want the manager to do. But this Man U team is actually a team where you could actually play you score 3, we score 4. You could actually go and do it with this Man U team, but then they could go and do it with us as well. This is what I mean. This is why I just honestly don't know what idea is going to come through whose head on here.
Yeah.
I mean, would Ange, as long as we don't use those inverted wing backs, I'm happy. Because that's when we've looked best. That's when we've done Man U. If we went all out guns blazing at them and didn't use inverted wing backs, I think we've got more than enough capability to beat them on a you score 3, we score 4. But then I think they've also got the capability to do us.
Yeah.
We've also got the capability to do them on a counter, but they've also got the capability to do us on it. This is what I mean. I just do not know where this game is going to go and start, basically. As long as we don't use inverted wing backs, if he goes all out attack, go for it, because we can do it with Man U. If we go count, it's just sorry, Michael.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Like, because like there is a lot made about the fact that we won 3 games against them, right? But when I look at the games that we played, right, the 3-0 at Old Trafford, right? This was Erik ten Hag's Man United, right? I wouldn't take anything from that game. Different players, different approach, different setup, different formation. Like everything was just Morale was in the mud at United, right? We came up, rolled them over, and just that's it, right? So I wouldn't take much from that game. Then there is a 4-3 game that we won in the cup, right? Where yes, it was Amorim already, but I think it was like his first month or something, right? If my mind serves me correctly. And we scored, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we were 3-0 up, right? We were 3-0 up, then Forster did the 2 mad, pretty much putting the ball inside his own net. Then we scored the corner, and then they scored the corner, and it was for free, right? So this like injury depleted team of ours at that time were 3-0 up at a certain point against Amorim's United, but it was really early in his tenure, right? So we can make an argument it was they didn't know the system and all that stuff, right? And then we have 1-0 at our ground where we won. And I think this is actually the game where we should draw the most conclusions from. First of all, because this is the most recent game, but also because we had some players back at that point, right? So it was close to the team we'll play against them in the final. And if I remember that game correctly, we scored a goal and then we defended for a long time, and they really should have scored, but they just couldn't put the ball away, right? So I just look at it and I see this win, this 1-0 win, right, where we defended and we and they actually should have scored. And I'm not like this is why I'm extremely conflicted, because with that context, I'm not sure whether just low blocking it and playing on the counter is the best idea against them, because they actually have some quality that, with shots from range and crosses and all that stuff, right? But then again, I don't want to play like extremely open against them, because I think they can catch us on the counter.
That's exactly what I'm saying. You've basically just repeated what I said.
Yeah.
Just putting some more difference about it, and I'm 100% with you. As long as we don't use those inverted wing backs, if we push a high line and go gung ho, you score 3, we score 4. Do you know what? I'm not going to hold that on Angie's head, because Man U, you can actually do this with.
Yeah.
But then I'm not going to hold it on him if he sits back and goes for a counter, because I think what we did last night in the end was pretty much what I asked them to do, and what you said as well.
Yeah.
Noticed how when we did have any sort of playmaking, where did it come from? It came deep from Porro or even Benson Core getting the ball forward, which is what I said, what I wanted us to do, because they're about the only 2 players bar Maddison that have any sort of what's the word?
Creativity.
Creativity. Yeah. And that is pretty much what we did, and that could work against Man U as well. I'm with you. I'm just totally lost on where we go with this to an extent, because we can go either way and win either way, but then so could they. I think it's who gets it right on the day.
Yeah, I think in terms of tactics and system, I think the 2 games against Frankfurt and the 2 games against BODO Glimt, I think there's no question we deserve to come through both rounds, and I think we've just got to keep playing in that more pragmatic way. We haven't been playing with, just leaving 2 at the back, sending the fullbacks into midfield. It's been much tighter and much more organised, and they've just got to play that way against United. Surely Ange has seen with these four games in the last few weeks that this is the way to play. Play like that against United. For me, it's a 50-50. You're right, Dan. It is whoever turns up on the day, whoever conjures up that bit of magic to win the game. And they've got Ahmad, who is obviously going to be their main danger, along with Fernandez. And I again get Mikey more involved, or push Porro further up, and bring Spencer right back, because we got no creativity, Dan.
That is the last opportunity. That is a last of the last opportunity. 10 minutes to go. Absolutely nothing going our way. Nothing to lose. Do you know what? Slap Mikey Moore on there. Give it a go, boy. You do not start that fella from the start. In my opinion, he's not ready for the Premier League yet. He needs a lot more experience. And then go and drop him in a final? No. That's how you destroy somebody.
No.
Or make somebody.
Well, listen, and all these other managers are giving these really good kids a fair run, and we're not doing that.
Yeah, but they've had that fair run.
We haven't done that with him, have we?
Exactly, that's my point. They've had their fair run. Maybe if he would have had his fair run, he would be ready as such, but he hasn't. So we don't even know if he's got the mentality for it, because he hasn't even had the run yet as such. Do you get what I'm saying?
No, sure. But throw him in on Sunday against Palace.
I don't disagree with that. I just don't think he's ready to start in a game like that. Not at all. Personal opinion. 15 minutes to go. You got nothing to lose at the end. It just looks like it's going their way. We need to get something out of nowhere, and we go and play 1 at the back and 9 up the other end of the pitch, and he's part of it. I get it. But no, not for a starter. No chance. Not for me.
I'll tell you what. Bet you get bloody good odds on Spurs to win in Bilbao and then the Super Cup. You get about 50-1.
No,
I mean,
go on, with Mikey Morphing, right? I think we talked about it, Dan, right? I would only do that if we started playing him like 2 or 3 weeks ago, right? Because I agree with Ian that he is probably the most creative player we have in the team that we could play there, right? I agree with that, but I just don't think that it's fair and it's a logical decision to make to put a 17-year-old kid in a do or die moment, right? because it's either sink or swim. He either smashes it, right? Because like we don't know how he will perform, right? So he either smashes it, becomes a like club legend at 17, right? Or he completely bottles it, just doesn't perform. Fans get on his back because we lose a final because he didn't play well, and then his career at Tottenham is pretty much done, right? I just wouldn't want to put a kid in a situation like this, right? I know that Kulusevski has been trashed and probably won't be much better than what he showed us in like last 2 or 3 weeks, but I still would rather play him than Mikey Moore. Even for the simple thing of a physicality standpoint and just running around and all that stuff, right? I think in a situation like a final, you play players that give you the best chance of a solid performance, right? If you have a really settled team, then you can play a wild card or two, right? But we aren't settled, so I would rather choose players that are solid, right? I wouldn't, even though I think Archie Gray can be a better player than Bissouma or Bentancur somewhere in the future, right? I wouldn't put him now in the team like over Bissouma or Bentancur because they have more experience. So I'm just making an example, right? Yeah, so I'm just making an example, Ian, right? So same thing with Moore. I think Moore will be a better player than vast majority of the players we have currently in the squad, right? But not now. Now I think Kulusevski gives you a bigger chance of a solid performance. If you solid, not a 10.
Mike, if Kulusevski plays in the next 2 games and has an absolute nightmare in both, he's going into that final on the back of the most horrendous form. So in effect, you've got Johnson, who apart from puts the ball in the back of the net, does nothing. So we could be in effect playing with 9 men. Well, you're going to take that risk.
That's.
And then you're going to play with a DM.
If you've got one Maverick, okay, but 2, come on,
right?
Okay. Isn't this a sliding door moment though for the manager?
One question.
Like
one question.
Go on.
They're going to probably play with a DM, yeah.
Ugarte will play.
They'll probably play with a double pivot of Casemiro and Ugarte.
Yeah. Right. And then you've got Mikey Moore there as the 10 going against someone like Casemiro, like with all the experience he's got, he's going to get eaten alive, in my opinion.
I don't think Casemiro will get near him. Don't think he'll get. He is so slow.
Hang on.
No, Ian.
I hope they play Casemiro. Please, Amrit.
He hasn't played his best, I know.
He is
come on, man.
bloody slow. Seriously.
Experience.
Okay, but Lubo, you're in a final. Yeah. See, this is at the moment. This is the one thing that I think Man U have over us. By the way, that doesn't mean I think they're going to win before everyone clips me up.
No, I agree.
What Man U have got is they've got Mason Mount there, who's won multiple trophies and finals, right? Casemiro, who's won. I mean, I'm going to go with 20 plus in his career. I don't know. Casemiro's won loads. Bruno Fernandez has won loads, right? You're going to go with, I don't know, Ugarte probably has. I'm just going to level that out there. You're going to have Luke Shaw maybe out there who's won trophies. Harry Maguire has won trophies. What they have got is a very experienced core of players who know how to get over the line. I'm not saying they're amazing, but in a final, do you really think, Lubo, I'm going to ask you this honestly, do you really think if Casemiro lines up, right, and goes, there's a 17-year-old kid playing against me, I think he's going to go, let's have this. I think he's going to go, let's have this. I've got it up there. I might not be able to run, but up there, I've got it. And bearing in mind, Mikey Moore, we've never, ever in a Spurs shirt seen him in the number 10. I know you're saying he is, and I'm not doubting you've watched him as a youth player, but it would be like, it would be the bravest decision in the world, which would either make him a tactical genius on the night, or for years we'd be going, what the fuck was that decision in a Europa League final? Fine lines, right? Fine lines.
Listen, I'd go for it. That's me. We know that Ange won't.
Sure.
We know that he'll play Kulu. However bad Kulu is in the next 2 games, we know he'll play him.
That's why I'm Lubo in. I want Ange out now, and I want Lubo in for the final. That's what I want. Give you 2 games in the league to work it out what you want to do. But
this is another one.
It is a worry, guys, isn't it? It is a worry that for as much as Maddison's been ridiculed at times in his 2 years at Spurs, you only realise how creative he is and how much he keeps the game flowing when he's not there. And again, any game I watch, even when he starts and comes off, the moment he comes off, we go flat. The moment he doesn't start a game, yesterday, I know it's slightly different because of the circumstances, but there's nothing from back to front. There's no link-up play. It was literally long ball up to Kulu and Richie. To Richie and Solanke. They can't hold it up. It bounces back. Maddison, for me, is one of my favourite words. He's the conduit between the two. He's the one that will take the ball and say, you know what, I'll slow it down a little bit. Come and join me. You know, I'll get in the final third. Midfielders, come and join me. Wide men, come and join me. I don't think Kulu's got that in his locker. He's a very good player at what he does, but he's not that guy for me. So I do think
he's not a 10. He's not a classic 10, right? He's not a classic 10 playmaker. He's more like a shadow striker or like something like that, right?
A key player for us is going to be Udogie in the final, because Udogie's coming back to form, and the way he gets down the left has in these games for me, he's been very good in the two Bodo Glimt matches, and he's starting to find a bit of form.
Do you think he was good last night?
I really do.
I thought in the first half
he was terrible.
He was dreadful in the first half. Do you know what he can't do, Udogie? He can't stop giving it away. His passing on the left-hand side is so wayward. Listen, I think he has moments in games where he looks strong, he looks powerful, but you know, I don't know. Listen, just for me, I just remember saying in the first half yesterday, stop giving it away. Stop giving it away. Stop giving it away. And Udogie just constantly. But Lubo, I'll take
this.
Listen,
would be the game.
He's going to be important. He's going to be up against Mazraoui. Would you say is their right wing back? Would be Mazraoui?
Wan-Bissaka?
No, what? No,
it's not 2023, mate.
Amat and Mazraoui, guys. On the right side, it's going to be Amat and Mazraoui most likely, right?
Yeah. It will be Mazraoui as the wing back, and then Diallo as the right-sided forward, right? And Mazraoui's a good footballer. I like Mazraoui. I think he was a very good signing. And Diallo, again, how fit is he? But he's a very tricky customer. So I think we need to be really careful that whoever plays on that left wing gets back and helps Udogie. And if that's a half-fit Son or Richarlison or I wouldn't want Tell doing that job in the final. I'll be honest, I wouldn't.
That is the game for me. This is the game for me coming up where, I mean, I agree with you, Savva. I thought Udogie in that first half was absolute crap. In the second half, he pulled his finger out and got his act together, But first half, he was shockingly bad. So how he got rated an 8 at the end of the day for an overall game, I don't know. But this is the game of all games where I would have thought, right, we're not got our playability up front, that we literally play to an extent the same way we did last night. Play it sensible, take your time. And this is where you play Spence as the left back and actually use him as more of a left back than a wing back, and then let Porro come forward. If he has to invert, so be it, but please no, and start putting the long balls in. This is the one for me where Udogie is a no-go, and you got to start with Spence to give us that extra bit of support at the back in the defence that we are going to need. I know, but I'm saying how
he won't, right?
More than likely, but I'm saying how I think it should be.
Dan, can we agree? And I agree with you, by the way. Can we agree we know what the 11's going to be? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, stop me when I get one wrong. Yeah, stop me, guys, when I get one wrong. It's going to be Vicario, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, Udogie, Basuma, Bentancur, Kulusevski, Brennan Johnson, Solanke, Son.
It'll be Son. If he's fit, he'll play.
Right. And what worries me about that is a Son who's not fit, because he won't be. It doesn't matter. He's not going to be fit, and he's not been firing. A Kulu who just, we say fitness, but I think just looks gone. And Brennan Johnson, who, again, if he's not scoring tap-ins, doesn't offer anything. I do worry about the creativity. I do. I hope that doesn't make me a bad fan. I just worry about the creativity there.
It's going to have to come from deeper, because up front we have no creativity. I mean, I'll repeat it again. we actually right, pretty much what I asked us to do and what you agreed and others agreed. We need the creativity starting deeper because Porro and Bentancur are probably our only two creative players, I would say, in there now. So it's got to start deeper. So if Porro's going to be pressing forward more and more as he does, that is where I just feel in a game like this, you cannot risk yourselves with two open at the back, and you're going to have Spence, okay, maybe push a halfway line sometimes, but come back a lot more defensively. Because if we're going to play a Doji on there, then for me, the only other option is where a lot of it is still going to come from Porro, I think, then we've got to stick Kulusevski out on the right because he's the only one, again, capable out of everyone we've got forward of actually coming back and giving some solid enough support for what we've got at the back, because Johnson can't do it, Tell can't do it, Odegaard can't do it, Son can't do it. So
that's why, Dan, you play Spencer right back and Porro further up.
No,
I've been saying that all season, but that's not going to happen.
Going to happen. Yeah, like
that is what I would say, but it's not going to happen. You've got more chance of Spence going in the left for a Doji than you have of Porro going up the other end.
Well, I'd rather have Udogie in the team. I think there'd be far more balance than if you got Johnson further up, because if Kulu's having a bad time, Son is being played and he's just come back, and you've got Johnson on right, we will be struggling.
Yeah. I think Johnson for me is, mate, I feel Johnson for me is one who's got to start. He's got to start. And the reason I say that is because he's got 17 goals this season. Whether he adds nothing to a game and everything last night, I thought he was completely shocking. But we know the way Ange plays. And if, say, for instance, we got Tell, we got Son or Odegaard on the left, Kulusevski in the middle, Solanke up front, if we end up just playing it the FIFA way and drill the ball across, I'm sorry, but Johnson is the one you want at the far post.
It is, but isn't it the double-edged sword with Johnson? That
it is.
If he gets the tap in, it pays off. If he doesn't, we're playing a final with 10 men. Because again, yesterday was another game, guys, where, listen, we can talk about whether players play well or not, and we can have those debates all day long. I think what we can all agree on is when I watch games like last night, I just don't notice that Brennan Johnson is on the pitch. Like,
yeah, you forget about him. Like
literally. And what makes me laugh is whenever Ange makes substitutions, you're going, it's got to be Johnson. No, Johnson's going to stay. And he can't beat a man. He isn't quick. I mean, I've never seen a player be blown over. So, like, it's literally like and he goes, oh, down. But Dan's right. It's those clutch goals, isn't it? It's the...
Yeah.
I mean, he'd be up against... Who would he be up against for Man U? Who's the left wing back? Dorgu. Patrick Dorgu. Good player, Dorgu. Yeah. Good player. Quick, strong, gets forward. Is Brennan Johnson going to get back? See, this is going to be the beautiful thing about the final is you have got two very different styles. Now, Man United, for all of their fault, for all of their bad form, for all of their fault, Man United haven't been losing loads of games. What Man U have been struggling with is scoring in the league. So they've actually drawn loads of games. When you look at the likes of Arsenal, Man City. So their tactics aren't the worst. Their tactics don't necessarily work massively with some of the personnel they've got now. But we were saying the other day, now imagine Man United go and sign Gyökeres and Cunha and put them in the front three. Suddenly, those tactics Man United have got don't look too shabby. And they're flying up there for European places. We've got to be really careful here. We know how they're gonna go forward with Dorgu, with Mazraoui, and their conductor in chief. We know who that is. We know Bruno Fernandez lives for these moments. Love him, hate him, think that he's the rat player, the annoying player, the moany player. That man affects Man United. He scores, he assists, he gets on the ball, he's a leader. So for me, we've got to make sure that whoever plays in the wide areas, if it's Johnson and Tell or Johnson and Son, whoever it is, they've got to get back and stop the running of Mazraoui and Dorgu, because Bruno Fernandez will find them. He will find them. This is not
He's their Maddison. He's basically their Maddison, except he's more of a leader sort of thing. I mean, I can't stand the player personality-wise and everything, but you can't fault him for his capability. He is basically their Maddison, which we are missing. If they don't have him, you see a massive, massive difference in Man United. Same. Let me start again. Same as us when we don't have Maddison. He's going to be a player that one way or another we have to take out of that game. How we do it, there's ways you can come up with, I suppose, but he's one that we are going to need to have a bad game as such, or we're going to have to box him out of the game one way or another. And in that way, is that where you bring back both your centre mids a little bit further on the double pivot on him and just try and cancel him out of the game, basically, because I feel he is their Maddison. He's their creativity. He's the one that can make things definitely happen in their team.
He is, isn't he, guys? But Bruno Fernandez, for me, is a real menace. He's one of those I think you love if he plays for you. I think if he plays against you, he's like remember, like you had players like Bellamy, who used to wind everyone up. But if he played for your team, he was good. You know what I mean? Mikhail, what do you think in terms of the way United play with their wing backs? And that we don't have wingers that track back. That's going to be a real interesting dynamic, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's utmost importance that the wingers track back, right? Because their whole system is about creating overloads on the side, right? They play with 2 number 10s basically, right? And those 2 number 10s are like, and the wing backs are kind of wingers in that system, right? So technically, when they attack, you have a left number 10 and a left winger trying to overload the left side of the pitch, right? And then you have midfielders coming and all that stuff, right? So you really need the support of your wingers defensively, right? Because if your winger doesn't come back, then the wing backs, so Porro and Udogie, they are 2v1 in most cases, right? They have to get support. So that's the good part about their system. But the bad part is that's kind of similar to us when they commit the wing backs forward. As I said, that their wing backs are pretty much like wingers in attacking sense, right? So when they commit them forward, they leave huge gaps behind, right? Yes, they play with a back three, but that back three you can stretch them really easily, right? If you get the ball to the side, right, either the whole three shifts to one side or one of the defenders splits, which creates spaces either between the center backs or on the other side of the pitch, right? So I think they play a really dangerous system, and dangerous for us as in the way they attack, but also dangerous for them as in the way they expose themselves defensively often, right? So I honestly think we have the players capable of exploiting how they play.
Yeah, agreed.
It's just about the form on the day, in my opinion, because I think if Ange plays it well, I think we can hurt them quite well.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
I'll just say one thing, Mikhail. And by the way, I'm loving the beard. I'm loving this look on you. You got engaged and got a manly beard. I like this. AMSN saying just bully and just press and bully Bruno. He won't do anything. Just don't give him time on the ball. I like when we say things like this in theory. But does anyone know this season in all competitions how many goals Bruno's got and how many assists Bruno's got?
30 plus, isn't it?
Yeah, 30 plus, I think.
He's been involved in, I think, in about 90%. Up to a week ago, 90% of United's goals in the last God knows how many games have been either him assisting or scoring.
19 goals and 17 assists this season. And do you know what? This is a bloke for me that gets a lot of stick from even his own fan base. Yeah. I'm just looking at since he joined Man United in 2020, right? He joined for the second half of the 2020 season. His numbers are ridiculous. His numbers, whether you rate him or not, are phenomenal. Like the lowest number of output he's had in a Premier League season is 17 goal contributions. That's the lowest output. So nearly half 1 in 2. Right? This year in such a bad Man United team, he's already got 18 goal contributions in the Premier League in 33 games. So I get it in theory, just press and bully, but this guy I think he's a very intelligent player. He drops into those little pockets. He knows where to be. So again, I'm not going to sit here and say Bruno Fernandez is the greatest player I've ever seen, but I do think that if we're going to belittle, not saying you have AMSN, but when we belittle players, I do think we've got to look at. Well, hang on, look at their numbers are ridiculous over 5-6 seasons. You've got to give credit where it's due, right?
He's a very, very good player. I don't like. Do you know what he attitude wise, he's very similar to Rashford. Yeah, in the aspect of his attitude stinks, and in some ways you wouldn't even want him in the team. But the difference is Rashford don't deliver on a regular basis. He's a purple patch player, and that's all there is to it. It's all he's ever been. Fernandez has actually always been a very consistent player, in my opinion. On the other point that I just want to bring up that got mentioned on the side, I didn't think of it myself. Onana has had an absolute shocker of a season, and he is not stable with that defense. That defense is not stable with him. They are pretty much in the same situation we are, except I think Vicario has had a significantly better season than Onana. I think that could it just be that we start pumping a few shots at him from out wide with Kulusevski, if Son's on there as well, and even it just to try and get a mistake out of him? Because if anyone is capable of a mistake this season as a goalkeeper, it is definitely Onana. Even though he was excellent at Inter Milan, he has been absolutely shocking since he has come to Man United.
So it means someone's got to shoot, Dan.
Yeah,
someone
it means someone's got to shoot. No one in our team, other than Sarr every now and then, no one has a pop from 20, 25 yards ever.
I agree.
No one ever shoots. We try and walk it in.
We play FIFA basically. We try and drill it. We try and do that sweaty pass. And do that sweaty pass across where you've got 4 people already in there to tap it in. It's the oldest FIFA tactics in the book. I used to play it in like 1994 with FIFA or whatever, yeah. But I think a few hardcore shots at him. He's such an unstable goalkeeper at the minute. It is unreal. But again, will we do it? And the thing you said again with Fernandez, very, very good player. And he doesn't get recognised for the capability he's got because just so many people don't like him because of his attitude. But you look at him season after season, I think he's had one relatively not good season at United, if I can remember right.
Yeah. You know, the thing with Fernandez, right, is I think, and Savva, even like you mentioned the criticism he gets from his own fan base, right? I think that's because he's that kind of player that the game state and the overall like vibe, let's call it a vibe around the team really gets to him, right? So I think he's a player where and this might be a bit like controversial what I say, right? But I think he's a bit of a luxury player, I think it's called, where if the team is doing great and you put Bruno Fernandez in that team, he elevates the team, right? If everything is working, Bruno Fernandez shines, right? But
he's a Madison.
If everything goes to shit, right? He also plays bad because his head drops, and especially like in the earlier season, because right now he's like 31 or something, and you can see that he matured a bit, right? This season is a counter argument to what I just said, right? But over the years, he gained a reputation of a luxury player that performs well when United is doing well and performs shit when the team is doing shit, right? So even though he was putting up amazing numbers, plenty of people had criticism of him that he doesn't put the team on his back and he doesn't carry the team. This season it changed. This season I think he's carrying that team for the whole season, right? As you said, like you don't get 36 goal contributions in a season.
He's got 36 goal contributions this season.
It's ridiculous, right? It's ridiculous.
And he does it in every competition, Mikhail, as well. I've just looked at his stats. He's good in Europe, he's good in the domestic cups, and he's good in the league. So this isn't I turn it on every now and then. He kind of turns it on a lot.
But basically, I think he got the wrong reputation, and people now look at him through the lens of that view of him, right? Like they don't judge him on what he actually does on the pitch. And I also think that there is one issue with him. I think he often tries to showboat a bit too much. Like he often attempts like trivela passes and just spams long balls and all that stuff, which makes United lose the ball, and then they are under pressure because of the way they lost the ball because of him, right? And I think this is also a criticism that people give him, right? But I think he's a really good player, and I think he will be the most dangerous man that they will have, right? And
Sure.
I think we have midfielders capable of keeping tabs on him, right? If we play a double pivot like we did in the last 2 Europa games against Frankfurt and BODO, and we play double pivot at Bissouma Bentancur, I think they can keep him not quiet, but they can, neutralize him in a bit, right? Why are we upping United players? Because it's good to play.
It's called football analysis. Yeah. It's called football. Why do people like you watch YouTube channels if you don't want any football talked about? I don't get it. What do you want us to do? Just sit here and go, are we worried about Man United? No, they're all shit. Good show, everyone. Thanks for joining. See you later. Like, what are we doing here? We're praising Man United's best footballer. I would like to think that they're sitting there doing the same. What are we worried about with Spurs? Who are the players to watch out for? Guys, look, I want to change up the conversation, and welcome to Alex. First of all, before we do, Archer said crowdfund Savva to Bilbao. Archer, I've got the money to go to Bilbao. It's just whether or not I can take the time off to go, mate. I'm not sitting here going, please pay. I've got the money. I just don't know if I've got the time. If somebody said to me, you can go on the morning, come back the next morning, I'm all over it. I'm there. But 3, 4, 5 days, I'm not sure if I can. I've got a puppy that can't be left alone at the moment. My wife travels for work, and I've got a job. So it's all very different. But thank you, Archer. Just start a crowdfund anyway. Just start a crowdfund for me, but I won't use it for Bilbao. There you go. We'll do that instead. Big up to you, Archer. Much love, man. I know you're just joking. Guys, 2 of the super chats earlier talked about, one was about the protest before the Crystal Palace game that I want to talk about. And the other one was about the squad. Even if we win this Europa League, needs it needs building. I say a rebuild. I think that's the complete wrong word. I think it needs building. I want to start with the squad before we get onto the protest, because that's where it will get lively. When we look at the squad, guys, I think what yesterday and the last sort of 10, 15, 20 games, maybe all season, has shown us is that whether they were Ange's choices, Lang's choices, whatever, we're very lightweight in the forward areas. We're very, very lightweight in the forward areas. And we're very lightweight in creativity. If we get to the Champions League final, let's fingers crossed we win the trophy, we get to the final, we're going to have some major surgery on this squad, aren't we, Lubo?
Yep. Yeah. I said months ago, didn't I? I didn't think the squad were as good as we thought initially. I know they look worse because of the system, but there have been a lot of mistakes that could have been cut out, didn't have to happen, unforced errors this season that players make. That's down to them. It's not down to Ange. Once the player crosses the white line, the responsibility of their performance for me is down to the player. So yes, we're lightweight up front. We are pretty lightweight in midfield. At the back, I think Romero's made his mind up. I think he's off.
Hang on, sorry, Lou, but Zumac. We've all said we think Spurs are going to win. If I'm pretty sure everyone here said they think Spurs are winning the final, right?
Yeah.
I think it's 50-50, personally.
Okay.
I said we're beating Bodo Glyn. I told everybody that.
But what,
like you.
What is this? When are we actually... What are we doing? So saying that Man U have experience of winning and talking about the game and talking about their players and how we think the game's going to go means we're not... What has happened to the human race? I'm so concerned. You're watching a football channel that likes to analyze, Zumac. You keep doing this. You keep coming on my show, right? The goal that Bodo scored did open the door for them. They didn't take the opportunity. They weren't good on the night. But what are we doing here? Do Man U not have a winning heritage? Sorry, guys, have we made that up?
No,
Manchester United, they've got a winning heritage.
I think Lubo's
I can't deal with idiots like this. It's just, please, Zumac, come on and tell us what we're saying that's wrong. Can't even have a football conversation now. I'm so fed up with you.
By the way, Savva, he's actually nice. Actually, by the way, because if Dan will explain to you, this is half the thing that we see in normal life. Let's be honest here. But anyway, moving on. Point is though, I've got to be honest. I've got to be honest. Lubo's. Even though at the I have to take issue with what you said earlier in the show, Lubo. I've got to say that, right. But one thing I will say though is that yes, he is right. It's 50-50. It is 50-50. But what will happen in the game? But I am concerned about the attack, because I think the attack was absolutely terrible. I don't think we're very good. I don't think the attack was actually very good against Frankfurt either, to be honest with you. And we looked so bad without Madison in that attack as well. It's actually frightening. You know what I mean? So I do think I am a bit concerned about that at the moment. That Man United have that over us. I think it's going to be a tight game though, and that's where I think Luba's absolutely spot on. It's going to be 50-50. I think it's going to penalties as well. If it was me, I think it's going to penalties, because I think two teams cannot afford to lose this game because of the league. It's so poised at the moment for me. You know what I mean? So this is where I think
Alex, it's the who needs it more final.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
Both clubs will present their arguments. We will all sit here in a minute. I'm going to ask the question, and we will all sit here, and all of you are going to tell me we need it more than them. I guarantee it, right? You're all going to tell me we need it more than them. You go on any Man U channel, they're going to tell them they need it more than us, right? Yeah. And that's just the way fans of different teams interpret things. But it is, Alex. This is going to be a tough game. I think we're going to win. I think if we've got anything about us to save the season, we will win. But it doesn't mean we can't discuss what might be tough about Man United.
I don't agree with the whole thing about Basuma, though. I don't agree about Basuma and Bentancur playing absolutely out their skin. I think they've done their job. I think what Dan said said this very good. Dan said this very well. No, I have to say this, make this point. Dan make a very good point, right, about the players. Yeah, if you play them the right way, they look really, really good. And I think this is what's happened right now. When you play them in the right way, you see what you're getting with Basuma. You see what you're getting with Bentancur. This is a standard performance for Bentancur.
Alex, again, I'm going to say the same thing I said to you last week. But that's not the point. The point is that we get the performances out of them like this when they're played in their position. That is the point, right? It's no coincidence that when we don't play the inverted fullbacks and when we don't try and put Basuma in a number 6 role on his own, suddenly Basuma looks like the midfielder we bought. Suddenly he looks like a good midfielder that goes about his job and just gets it done, Alex. Isn't that the point?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm not fascinated by it, because this is what we should be seeing every week if he's played in his right position. You get what I'm saying? That should be a standard position. This is why I'm saying he has not improved, because this is what we should be seeing from Basuma and Bentancur on a regular basis if you're playing them in the right positions, which is going back to Dan. Don't get used to it. What you said how many moons ago? I'm giving you credit, bruv. Take it for what you will. You know what I mean?
Like, take the credit, for Christ's sake. You know what I mean?
You said if you play everybody in their right position, they look very good. Look what's happened. We've got to a final because they look very good when they played in their right positions. That's what they haven't. They haven't improved. They've not improved. They've just done what they've been doing for donkey's years. Yeah, sorry if anybody gets offended, but you get what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean?
Basically, what you're saying, Alex, is we have seen the players playing of what they should be playing if we had just played them in the right position. They haven't exactly been special in the last game or whatever. No. They've just played to actually what they should be playing because they've actually been played right. And you're right, it's the same thing I've argued for since I've started going on YouTube and everything. And it shows every time and time again, when we do play more of a counter-attacking style, when Basuma isn't playing as the more box-to-box DM sort of style sort of thing, and Bentancur's left to do his bit as well, and they're not inverting, and we just look a much better team for the sheer fact that players, even if they ain't, basically one of these players can play his average normal game and all of a sudden he can stand out and look like he's had a quality game because he's been so crap all season because he's been played the wrong way. Exactly. Now he's been played the right way and he's had a respectable game. Exactly. People are now turning around and saying they've literally had a world-class game because they've been so shit all season, basically. Is that what you're getting at?
Exactly, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. But either way, as long as they stick to that and stick to what they're capable of, that's what we need to do.
Yeah. Well, that's
See, I've never thought, Alex. I've never thought that of all the issues in the club, I've never thought that the centre mid was the biggest problem, right? Because I think certain teams need a DM. If you play a certain way, you need a DM. But we've shown that if we don't play a certain way, we don't need a DM. Like, not every team in the Premier League plays with an out-and-out defensive midfielder. Some of them play with 2 box-to-box number 8s, like the way we played yesterday. And when we do that with Bentancur and Basuma, they're good central midfielders. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to go overboard about them, but they're good central midfielders. Normally what happens is we play a non-existent midfield because everything's chaotic and gung-ho. And then what we do is we come out at the end and we go, God, Basuma's shit. It's like, well, yeah, Basuma's shit because you've asked Basuma to do what it's not his game. You know, you don't sign James Maddison and then say, oh, he's not a good number 6. Well, no, of course not. He's a playmaker. You know, and I just want to get back to people playing in their normal position. Udogie, we didn't sign Udogie as an inverted fullback. I don't think Udogie is good when he inverts. Udogie looks much better to me when he is overlapping. He's a quick, strong, powerful young man that can get down the left. And what we've seen in the last couple of European games, he's overlapping Richarlison.
Yeah.
And all right, you can work on the final ball and we can talk about that, but it looks dangerous. What we're seeing when he cuts in and the ball goes out wide and you got the winger out wide with no one overlapping, our wingers aren't one-on-one specialists to beat a man. So you need the overlap. I just don't feel like any of this is rocket science. And I don't know why we've had to wait until the latter stages of the Europa League to start rolling it out. I just don't get it.
It's the biggest jar of the whole thing because, again, people can say, oh, you're only armchair supporters. What would you know? Everyone knows my reply to that one. It's what we all are. So if we're irrelevant, you're irrelevant as well. To me, it has just been literally that simple to sort out 25-30% of the problem in the team as such, which could have easily got us another 10 points, 12 points this season. I think that's the other reason why he has got so much stick, because it has been pretty much plain Jane simple in your face. Don't use both inverted wing backs. If you're going to use one of them, just bring the other one across to give you a solid 3 at the back if you're not using a DM. We look better when we overlap. Some of it has just been literally, like you said, it ain't rocket science. It has been that simple that it has made it even that more frustrating for me to sort out a good part of the problem in the team.
This is my biggest gripe with Angepostecoglou, right? I've been saying this ever since I said I'm Ange out, which is, I think it was December when I turned on him, right? I've said it. I want the manager of my team to use the players to the utmost ability of those players and put them in situations where they shine and their weaknesses are covered, right? Which he wasn't doing, right? We know that Poro's weakness is defending, so why are we putting him in one-on-one all the time against wingers, right?
Agreed.
We know Maddison is not a physical midfielder. Why do we try to make him a box-to-box midfielder that takes the ball away, right? We know that the wingers aren't 1v1 specialists. Why are we putting them in 1v1 situations against fullbacks and making them dribble past players, right? This is something that has been my biggest issue, right? I think when I look at this team, there are simple fixes, simple tweaks, right? That you can make with those players to make them perform much, much better. Udogie is an overlapping midfielder, overlapping fullback. Make him overlap, right? We are seeing this in the Europa League. Wow, he's performing good, right? Who would have thought? Like, what a surprise, guys! Did you expect that? I didn't, right? Like, like, it's such a simple solution, and I think what we are seeing in Europa League is this team playing simpler football, but players playing the roles they are good at, right? Whereas what we are seeing in the league is just some abomination of a football system that tries to reinvent the wheel. What you always say, Savva, right? We are trying to reinvent the wheel in the league and it's not working, right? So, and this is my biggest issue, and I will keep laying this criticism on Ange, right? When he does stupid things which make our players play worse than they should, right? And in the Europa League, where he is doing good things, right, where he is using those players like they should be used, I will be praising that, right? I after every single win in Europa League, I've came on different channels and said, well played, we deserve to do this. The tactical setup was great. We used the players like they should be, right? I keep saying this, but it's just like some of the people in the comments that you sometimes highlight, Savva, right? It's like they are not listening to what we say, right? I always say I will praise when praise is deserved. I will criticize when criticism is deserved. It's as simple as that, right? Like
read this. Who made them favourite? I haven't heard anyone on this panel make Man United favourites. Val, you're a member of my channel. Are you not hearing? I think Spurs are going to win because the thing that frustrates me
so do I, by the way. I think we'll win. Like
people take this, they'll go to other channels and go, "Oh, Savva said we're going to lose the fight." I've not said anything of the sorts.
I don't think anyone said it. None of us have said we're going to lose it. For me, it's a 50-50 game all the way. I think Spurs will win it. I know we're more than capable of doing it. But for me, on the day, it is 50-50 and who turns up with a bit better tactics and the more passion. But I think Spurs can win this. What else do you want me to say? What else do we say?
It'd be a crap final, though. It'll be a crap final, though. I'll tell you that for a fact.
You know what, Alex?
I'm not sure about that, Alex. I think it will be.
I disagree.
Yeah.
It could be a 1-0. Could be a 1-0 ball fest, couldn't it?
Yeah, that's.
I don't think it will be though.
Or it could be a 4-3.
Yeah, 4-3. Yeah, right.
I think it's literally going to be what Alex said or what Mikhail said. I think you're either going to see a stinky game where both teams we go, God, this is why they're both shit in the league, or you're just going to see an end-to-end 3-all, 4-all penalty. I don't know. I think it will be exciting. Both
exactly
teams.
What I said at the start, Savva. Basically, it is just there's no in-betweener for me on this one. I said it when I first came on, and for me, I agree. This is either going to be Spurs West Ham the other day, or obviously with the not same sort of skill capability or whatever, but you're going to see a chaos mental game like in Milan and Barcelona. Obviously not to the same skill, credibility and everything else, but you're going to see a game that actually gets you on the end of your seat through the amount of mistakes made in it, a good moment or two made in it, and just for the sheer fact that you can't wait for the game to end and win it, basically. I don't think there's an in-betweener here. It's either just going to be that bad or that good, but that's just my opinion.
Well, I was just gonna say, do you know what? If there's an early goal first 5 minutes, it could be mad. But then I just think we had that at Madrid, and it was a boring game, wasn't it?
Yeah,
a dreadful game.
Yeah, but here you've got two teams fighting for more than this is where I think a couple. Maybe it's just different opinion. Yeah, we all know that, but for me, winning the Europa Cup is only part of it for me. Now, winning the actual cup itself is a bigger thing for Spurs than it is for Man U. If Man U don't go and win the Europa Cup, they can turn around and go, and then just look at the list. If Spurs don't win it, we have no list at all. So the cup itself is bigger for Spurs than it is for Man U.
Agreed. And
also, with what comes with after the cup, is, I would say, bigger for Spurs than it is for Man U as well, but only by about 55-45. Because if we don't get that to get into that Champions League, the second part of the cup, of basically what I'm saying, we're screwed for at least the next 2 to 3 years. Some have said 5 years. Man U, if they don't get it, you know there's still going to be money on the table, high wages to spend, still pulling power, Man United, everything else. So overall, Spurs need this 10 times more.
I think it's
but
massive
for the cup in the cabinet. For the cup in the cabinet, it's Spurs more than Man U.
I agree with you on the trophy on the trophy part, Dan.
I'm with Lubo.
I agree with you on the trophy part, but Ratcliffe is coming in and he's cutting. They've got to raise money for the new grounds that plans are going in as well. This is important for United as well. They've got to get Champions League.
I'm not saying it's not.
No, for the money as well. You know, they are paying 30 million a year interest on the dividends that the Glazers have pulled out in loans. just 30 million on interest.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to Kieran Maguire a couple of months ago, talking on one of the Talk Sport shows about United's financial situation, because the way Ratcliffe has you thinking, they're going bankrupt. If he doesn't get rid of all these people within, on the staff, they're going to go bust. They're not. It's just scaremongering, obviously, but
Yes.
they need the money because they've not had Champions. Champions League's been on and off with them, and they need that money. They've got big exits.
Okay.
Big exits. We're paying 30 million on the grounds. They're paying 30 million on dividend interest.
On the question then, if they don't win this and don't get through to the Champions League final, do you think their wage structure comes down to something as pathetic as ours?
I think he'll start cutting the wages.
Not as pathetic as ours, but they're different.
It will come down a peg,
Dan.
basically. Yeah.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, Man U, even if they don't get through this, they are still going to have tenfold the capability that we do at Spurs of having significantly higher wages and willing to pay significantly more for players. Even though they might be up shit street with the money a bit, they are still going to be able to fix themselves financially on that pitch easier than Spurs will ever do if we don't win this. If we don't win this and get the money through with it, obviously the cup is more important to us for the cabinet. But if we don't get this for the money, for the Champions League and everything else, like Savva always puts it, we have absolutely no pulling power whatsoever. We're going to have no extra wages to put on there. We're going to have no money to spend. Nothing. We will be absolutely foobarred. Whereas Man U, if they don't win it, will still have 3 times the amount of wages that we will on another player they will buy. They will pay double, treble the money that we will for a player. Why? Because they're Man United, and even though they might be up shit street past few years, they still have that capability. So overall, even if Man U go tits up on this, they can still rebuild a lot easier.
Can I add in a factor that we're not adding in? Can I add in a factor that no one's adding in here? And I don't disagree with anything that either of you have said, but also it's expectation.
Exactly.
Yes.
The expectation at Man United. It's not like Spurs. Look, our fan base for 17 years, look how many of them have just been like, yeah, we're doing a great job and we've not won fuck all, right? Man United, their fan base, this is where it's stronger than ours. Their fan base expectation is what? So sorry, we finished 14th, 15th. Didn't win the Europa League when we only had Tottenham. That's what they'll be saying, not me. Yes, that's what they'll be saying, right? But I think Lubo's correct in the fact that for different reasons, this game is massive for both clubs. But I don't see this as a bad thing. I think this is, let's see. Come on then. Who's got what it takes? You've got one game, both of you. Hang on. You've got one game, both of you. And I lump Man U in with us here. You've both had absolutely diabolical seasons. Mm-hmm. But both of you have got 90 minutes to paper over every crack that you've had in this year. You've got 90 minutes to paper over what should be hours and hours of heart surgery, but you can get a plaster and paper over with one game of football, right? Spurs and Man U, we should both be counting ourselves very lucky in that aspect. Very lucky.
This is why I've been so. This is why I've been I've been stunned. Go on.
Hang on. The team that loses, the ramifications are huge.
Exactly.
For the team that wins, most of all that other shit is going to get absolutely swept under the carpet. If Man United win, Amorim's going to go, look what I've done with someone else's squad that I've picked up a mess. I've won you the European trophy, right? Give me £200 million. Give me Cunha. Give me Garcarez. I will go and challenge for the top 4 next season in the Champions League.
I'm not sure it's so easy for them to just go and get £200 million next year. So
they can still do better than us.
If Spurs win it, we've kind of got that thing of, well, shouldn't we be winning it? Because this is Ange's team. He has had a lot of money. He has had 2 years. He has had a nice run. Now, I'm not knocking that, but both of these two clubs are in a sliding. This is massive. And the last point I'll make before I shut up, got to remember, both these clubs, the one that doesn't win is going to watch Arsenal, Liverpool, City, Chelsea, Newcastle, Villa and either Spurs or Man United off into the sunset. Both of these, one of these two is going to be sitting there, no European football, looking at these other teams and going, shit, we're falling behind. But where Dan is right, Lubo, already, Man United, sorry for the monologue, already, Man United have not even got to the end of the season. They don't know if they're in the Europa League or the Champions League. They're already in talks with players like Matheus Cunha. Like that's the levels, isn't it? Can you imagine Spurs right now announcing we're in talks with Matheus Cunha before a season ends? Like that. So I get it, but
that's Man United fans are not giving Amrin any break as well, because if he doesn't win it, like next season, he's under pressure. Yeah, massive pressure. Right,
but he needs his own players, right?
Yeah, he's still under massive pressure because of the Man United being Man United. It is. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
That's what I'm trying to say.
But he'll be challenging.
He's the fan base. He's the fan base right now.
He'll be challenging within 2 years because I think he's a superb manager.
I agree. And the other thing is with it, it's like I'm agreeing with what you said, Ian. But Man U, even if they lose this, can still repair themselves within the next season. If we don't win this, we ain't repairing ourselves in that next season or season after that, in my opinion.
Do we repair ourselves anyway?
I don't know. I think we've got a real struggle, Dan. I think we've got a real struggle for 12 months. But if you bring
I'm not disputing none of it. Repair, I said.
I don't think it's 3 or 4. I'd say the next 12 months are going to be a real bugger. But if you bring Xavi in, if Perisic joins, if you pick up some really good players at good prices and integrate them in, if you get the kids coming through that also strengthen the squad, then all of a sudden in 12 months' time, it's looking a lot better. I was asked on a space, funny enough, in July, are you looking forward to this season? And I actually said, ask me that in 12 months' time, because I'm looking forward to this following season more than this season, because I think the kids will start coming through next year rather than this year. And I still say this. I still think we will next year will be difficult, but we can get over it if we got good people at the club, Dan, like Perisic, you bring Xavi in, you've got Glasner in, all of a sudden it looks a bit different. But
I think you're missing one point here, and one big, massive point. I'm the first one to say, get a better manager in, we get better results, and we should be fighting for 7th and 5th this season. Right. We get a better manager in, gets this team to the capability he's got, but no Champions League, no European football, lack of money off of Levy, the amount of money that you keep bringing up that we have lost during the league that Levy will not spend. We are not going to have a pot to piss in. The wages are going to go down even further, and whoever we have as manager is just going to have to fight with what he's got. Right. Now, this season, that would have been for a 7th or 5th place. But next season, you're going to see Man U, whether they win whether they get in the Champions League or not, still spend money and have 3 times the higher wages we have. Chelsea are going to be in European football and buying players. City are going to obviously do what they're going to do. Arsenal are going to be going up for it. Liverpool are going to be going up for it. Hang on. Newcastle are going to be going up for it. And then they meet and Villa are going to be going for it as well. We're not going to have a pot to piss in, so we might be able to get the players to the capability of what they should have played this season. But next season, that'll be a 10th or an 11th, because the other ones will have got better players and gone light years ahead. Man U can still pull them out of this easier than we can if they don't win that.
Yeah,
if we don't win that, we are screwed for the next 3 seasons at least, in my opinion.
Okay, I agree with you.
Because the others will just keep buying.
I agree with you on the Man United part. I don't agree with you on the 3 years. 12 months a lot can happen in 12 months.
I agree with that. I'm just giving my opinion. I just think this could hold us back so far.
I've got a plan. Right. West Ham have just announced breaking news on Sky that here we go. Ready? That these players are leaving the club. So I've got Spurs' first 4 signings in the summer sorted. Cresswell, Fabianski, Soufal, and Danny Ings are all leaving on a free. So there's our first 4 signings to bolster the squad for next year. How long until someone says, I think Danny Ings would do a job for Spurs? Guys, last topic I want to talk about. I do want to get in a super chat, by the way.
With what you just said, quick, one thing with what you said.
Yeah, go on.
On a freebie and say he's on 20 grand, would you take Fabianski in as a sub goalkeeper, basically?
No.
I mean,
Like, as a
haven't we
backup?
got about 9?
Just out of a question.
Yeah, no, haven't we got
Yeah,
about
I
9
did-
goalkeepers
With,
though,
For,
right?
with Forster going, then hopefully I think the younger ones are
Nah.
going, except Kinski.
I think if Forster's going, I think what you've got to do is go, right, Vicario's your number 1, Kinski's your number 2, and then you've got to have Keeley or Gunter as
Fair play.
coming through. I mean,
so you get rid of
like
Austin
that,
then, Sav. You get rid of Austin as well.
no, I'm just guessing it. I mean, yeah, you've got Austin as well. I mean, fair enough, you've got Austin as well. Also, I'm reckoning that if you said to Fabianski that he's only going to be on 20 grand a week, he might have something to say about that as well. But listen, a big up to Stratos Aho, who said, I really want to get excited, but I'm scared, Savva. I think we're at the stage, Stratos. There's no point being scared. It's a one-off game. We're there. Yeah. It's a one-off game. This isn't Man United of old. I'm not saying they're not good on their day. We're good on our day. Both teams have had a crap year. It's a one-off game. Let's go there. Let's beat them. Let's actually have something to celebrate. And maybe, who knows, that evening we might also be able to celebrate without everyone being called out for not liking certain people. Big up to you, Stratos. Really appreciate that. The last comment I want to talk about. Well, you know it, Mikhail, you know it. We'll win the Europa League and most fans won't even bother going, this is amazing. They'll just go, oh my God, see, you don't deserve it. You don't deserve it. You don't deserve it.
Savva, you are in the mud. You are in the mud, Savva.
You're in the mud. Guys, I want to
last team or fuck off.
Yeah. Last thing I want to talk about, and this was a super chat that came in. By the way, if you haven't subscribed, please do. We're closing in slowly but surely on the 18,000. So please, if you haven't subscribed, please do. And check out my video in a couple of hours on my second channel. It is about the Man United Tottenham final, and it's going to be about the who needs it more final. If we're being honest. But this, thank you very much, a user, very patient. He put this in ages ago. And he asked the question about the protest. And obviously, protests are a word that you all know my feelings on them. But surely what happened last night completely buries the protest. Like, the timing just doesn't work, does it, guys? I mean, is there, when we talk about doing something from a position of strength, surely this would be protesting from an absolute position of weakness, wouldn't it? Where Spurs are in a European final, 3 days later, people are protesting with banners for the owners to leave. Just chucking that out there and I'll let you all go.
Well, I don't see the point.
Does it change 25 years?
No.
That's my question. Let's look at the big picture. You got the big picture or the little picture?
I agree. But Luba, what I'm saying is this: look at the euphoria, right, from last night, and that we're in a final, and then 72 hours later, fans are going to see
not great. The timing isn't great,
right?
No.
So would you still go ahead with it with that in place?
Do you know what?
Be honest. Be honest.
As a question,
would you?
It's a hard one. It is a question because you don't want it to fall flat as well. That's the thing. If you're gaining momentum with the last two, if it falls flat, you've got to get that back, haven't you?
Do you know what? That is a solid question. I must admit, that is a solid question. Fair play on that one. Yeah, that is actually a solid point. I mean, this is now the time, for me, personal opinion. Yeah, this is now the time where, we're going to still keep criticizing. I think everyone can agree now that the season is irrelevant. I know some have looked at us earlier, like me. Some have said every game counts. For me, momentum means absolutely jack shit at Tottenham, and it's proved itself after game after game. Momentum is a nothing on this one to me, personal opinion. The season is irrelevant now. It is done. It is dusted. It is over. It is finished. It has been for a while. There is one game and one game only that matters now, and that is that game against Man U. So we can all have our own opinions and facts and everything else about the season, but now is my opinion that when it comes to that day and building up to that day, is where everybody has to get behind the fan base in the aspect of behind the players in the aspect of, right, you've been shit all season and you're a terrible manager. I still want you gone after this, but you will fully deserve your 1 million benefit for getting us the cup and whatever. And just say, do you know what? Screw the season. I'll complain about that at the end. I'm just going to focus on this cup now, through and through. Even if we go and lose our next games 3-0, 4-0, whatever, it's not going to tickle me in the slightest because that's all I care about is that Man U game.
It's going to be a non-event. It's going to be a non-event.
I'll probably agree with you there, Dan, because you can always protest next season.
Isn't the timing, guys, a little bit like...
That's the problem.
If anyone was planning to, in life, I'm not talking about us, if anyone was planning to break up with their husband or wife and then their mum dies and then I dump them 3 days after their mum's death, it's like that kind of like, God, come on. Like,
I've seen that. I've seen that in life, mate. I have seen that happen.
You know what I mean?
I've seen that happen.
Maybe
with
not that
people
analogy.
No, Alex is the perfect analogy. Right? I've seen it. I've seen it where someone was they was literally just about to cut the other one off, and then
I've seen it.
The pair passed away, and the other one literally went, "Fuck."
Yeah.
I mean,
just sat back for another 2 months.
I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry about your mum. But this isn't working for me at the moment.
Yeah, I have seen someone basically just literally was in the pub the night before saying, right, it's game over. I can't do this. And out of nowhere, there was no illness or nothing. The poor person passed away and they was like in the pub the next night, like, shit. And we're like, what you going to do? And he's like, I can't do it. And he stayed another 2 months, supported her and everything, and then cut it.
So there's some interesting comments here. There are some good comments here.
There are.
Process isn't about a bad season under Ange. It's about 25 years under Levy.
Very true.
You don't have to tell me what it's about. I understand, but I'm going to bring up a few comments, right? And it's things like, listen, big up Lord Rodney Trotter. So, Savva, give me a reason how the protests affect the players. Well, listen, I'll give you that in a second. But there's one comment, right? Then a comment of saying, if they call it off, all credibility is gone. But let's look. When we call ourselves Spursy, when other fan bases call us Spursy, this is the second biggest achievement for the club in terms of getting to a final for 41 years, right? You've got the Champions League in 2019, which supersedes this, if we're going to be brutally honest, in every single way. And then you've got this, right? Now, no trophies being lifted. I hear you. People, again, devil's advocate. I've got to do this, right?
It's a solid question.
The perception in life is everything. Timing is everything. When you start your own business, the timing of it has to be right. When you get in a relationship, the timing has to be right. When you do anything in life, the timing has to be right. Guys and girls, what I'm saying is the perception for me will be, and again, hear me out before anyone loses mind. The perception will be that all the people that protest are whingy, negative, ungrateful, and absolute the cheek of it, because they're doing it 3 days after Tottenham have made the second biggest European final in 41 years. Now, am I saying that's right? No, I'm not saying that's right, but that will be the perception. The perception won't be fair play. Levy's been crap for 24 years. It will be, hang on, 3 nights ago, you're all losing your minds and we're going to Bilbao. So perception versus reality.
Is it not the same as if Ange wins it and then you look at it, but hang on a sec, guys, we've had 18 months of absolute crap in the league.
No.
Sure, but managers come and go. You're talking about overthrowing ownership and selling the entire club. Like there's a. But
you can also have, Sam, you can have a Jim Ratcliffe type. You can have a Jim Ratcliffe type buyout, couldn't you? With 25% of people coming in to run the football side, you could have that.
No, I think the other side, Ian, with what Savva has said, and do you know what? That is a bitch of a question. I'll give you that, yeah. Because if, again, this is just the way I'm seeing this here, and I ain't on form this morning anyway. But the way I'm seeing this is, if those protests do happen, there is a chance that this will divide this fan base even more than what it is, because you're going to have the people like you, Ian, who are going to be like, but 25 years, this, and this, which I'll make you 1,000,000% right. And then you're going to also have, with what basically Savva said, with the other part of the fan base who might have been turning, not have been turning, turn around and say, well, hang on a minute. Can't you lot just shut the fuck up for 5 minutes while we go on to this Europa final and try and bloody win it? It could have such a... Do you know what?
It's such a divisive event, right? Because listen, I will tell this more as a joke, right? But this now, the next 1.5 weeks, right, is actually a moment where you say just shut up and back the team, right?
Yes.
I like, you know what I'm playing at, right? But
yeah,
that's basically the way I look at it, right? Because I think this takes the utmost importance right now, the Europa League, right? Because when you actually like look at the essence of what the protest is, right? The protest is to voice our dissatisfaction with the way this ownership runs the team, because we want to see the team win trophies, right? We want the team to be successful. So now we are on the cusp of being successful, right? Which I know it's not because of the ownership, right? It's kind of in spite of the ownership. But right now, the most important thing for us as fans is being successful, right? So focus on that for now. I don't think it's a good thing to start protesting now. Start protesting or like continue protesting, right? Because for vast majority of the fans, the protesters will just look like ungrateful bitches, basically, right? Like
timing.
No
one's saying don't protest, but timing.
I wonder what Man United would have done. I mean, they've got the Glazers to sell part share, and possibly, obviously, Ratcliffe might come in.
Yeah, but Ian, this ain't Man United. This is Spurs, mate. Sorry to interrupt you, mate. This ain't Man United. This is Spurs.
I think we should cancel it anyway, right? Regardless what, like on the protest, I think we should cancel it anyway. There's no point. There's literally no point of doing it. You know,
I think
cancel one or cancel all of them. Alex.
We'll just cancel. I would just cancel it at the moment. I think the focus should be, because at the end of the day, I think I was saying what Dan's saying. The league games don't care. It doesn't matter anymore now. You know what I mean? Well, no, it's going to be a non-event. I'd say it's a non-event now.
But it's not about the league. It's that's not the point, Alex. The point is, if you're Romero or Porro and you're in the dressing room in Bilbao and you're just getting ready to go out, are you thinking about going out and winning that trophy, or are you thinking about, oh my God, I'm totally demoralised because a couple of thousand people were protesting 10 days ago?
No.
I get that side as well.
Yeah, I get that side as well. But I agree with you, because at the end of the day, we've been in bad form. I think I'm going a different subject.
It's been appalling, Alex. It's been dreadful.
But the thing I make here is that at the moment, to talk about the protests in a little bit, I just think at the moment it's just pointless, because, you know, what we're trying to protest now, because, you know, everyone's in a good moment at the moment, so we haven't got the energy for it anymore. You know what I mean? So at the moment, I think next season we'll see what happens next season. You know what I mean? Because that'll be a different story.
Alex,
I don't think it's Spursy. I think it's a situation that we're in at the moment.
You don't know what I'm going to ask.
Oh, go on then. Go on.
Wouldn't it be Spursy though to everybody and anybody in the outside world? Like when we're talking about one thing, like Dan, you talk about a lot, and Stel talks about a lot, is okay. This sort of protest might grab the eyes of the media, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I don't think the media will take this in the way that Spurs fans think that they're going to take it at all. If we do it 3 nights after, oh my God, we've made a European final. Now, for me, listen, everyone knows I don't want the manager here. Everyone knows I don't want Levy here. But surely it will be 9 days or 9 nights before a cup final in Europe. Do we really want to be seen as the people that are protesting and putting whatever we say about it, it is negative vibes, whichever way we look at it. Normally, it's negative vibes for the right reason. Do we want to be seen 9 days before a final, negative vibes, 3 days after we're all going, everyone just back the team? Now is the time to get behind the team.
They're in no win situation change for Tottenham.
No, I disagree.
They shift it to next season. Wait and see what happens. Because Ian, if he wins the Europa, sorry guys, I'm just going to say this. Yeah. If he wins the Europa League, right, I think it kills the entire movement in 1 minute. I know you will disagree with me, but if we turn around and say, we don't like Daniel Levy for what he's done for 24 years, but we can say, right, we decided to ramp up the protests after he'd won us our biggest trophy for 41 years.
Hang on one second, Sav.
Just loses all impetus for me.
If you're building a business, hang on. If you're building a business and you're putting different blocks in place that are all good things to do, and then you win a trophy, then everybody's going to get behind you. But if you actually think to yourself, great, we've won a trophy, fantastic. Levy's still there with his lack of football knowledge. He will still be there interfering and making sure that the football side is not a priority. There's no long-term or mid-term strategy or planning. None of this changes. None of it changes because of one trophy. So the club will suffer. How long does the club carry on suffering for the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years while he's there? And maybe we'll get one more trophy. So you've got 3 trophies in 40 years while he's chairman. I mean,
I understand all this. Lubo, I understand all this, but what I'm saying is we would be protesting if we, again, these are all hypotheticals. Sure. We'll be one, if you protest this weekend, it's protesting from a point of, hang on, we've just had our best night of the season and we're protesting. And if we then protest after we're European champions in the Europa League and got into the Champions League, you're protesting from a position of weakness, whichever way we want to look at it, right?
Can't win. Change the top, can't win. Whatever decision they make.
Hang on, let me finish. I get it. It doesn't make up for 24 years of how it's been run, but the timing, again, timing is everything. If what we're saying is this, let me get this right. So Spurs win a Europa League trophy, right? Then the whole summer goes by. Right? There's no games, so there's no protests, right? The whole summer goes by. And then we start the following seasons after winning our biggest trophy for 41 years. And the first thing we do on the first home game of the season or second home game of the season is Levy out. The media, whichever way, people were telling me the media were going to be the ally. The media were going to be the ones that helped drive this.
In this case.
Right?
Not in this case.
The media will spin this as, look at the state of these Spurs fans. Look how ungrateful that. I'm not saying it's right. Look how ungrateful. Hang on, Lubo. Look how ungrateful they are. They've just won their best trophy, and their first fault the following season is get the owners out. Unfortunately, Lubo, that is what people will do.
It can only work if Change for Tottenham sit down with the media before the protest and talk and explain why they're doing it. Because then the media can spin it. This is the reason for the protest. We may have won a European trophy, but we've had 24 years, 25 years. We've only won 2 trophies, while all the other clubs, Chelsea have won 19, Liverpool have won 12, Arsenal won 10, United have won God knows how many, City have won God knows how many. We're still being left behind. The wage bill's this. Look at the players, etc. The league
you believe they're going to do that?
And you put all those points in an article with the press. You go. They should do blanket interviews with the press, put it all out there, and you put together your case for protesting. Otherwise, if there's no case put in front, people will just look at it. It's very lazy and it's very easy to see the headlines. Oh, you just won a trophy,
Okay, Ian.
and now you're protesting. So
Let me
yes,
do-
it would then fall flat. But organise it, put your case across eloquently,
on a different side,
articulately,
Ian.
and then the press can't do that.
Okay, looking at it from another point of view here. This is how I'm going to look at this one, yeah? Right. We're coming up to a Europa Cup final. We win it. Whatever. Great. For me, that don't fix 25 years and I still want Levy out and everything else, yeah? But you know what? The opinion I'm going to have here, and I'm probably going to stick to it, is with exactly, even down to the point that my wife has an opinion on it from earlier, is, do you know what? Shut up shop and just get behind it. Put it aside for 5 minutes, because the thing is, a long-term problem takes a long time to fix. A short-term problem, you can fix that in 10 minutes, yeah? Right. Put it aside for 10 minutes. Focus on the Europa. We win that Europa, whatever else. We've got the full season and next season to carry on with protests and whatever. If half these people at the protest would all of a sudden not turn up because we didn't do this one, then as far as I'm concerned, they're plastic anyway.
Also, like,
if you
can't
put bit, Mike. So if you can't put it apart for one side and realize why you're putting it aside, then you've got no open mind. Basically, it's about the timing. But I get both sides of it. But for me,
if you cancel
put
Sunday,
it aside and focus on this.
If you cancel Sunday, you can't rearrange it for Brighton, because if we win it, then there is no. It's a celebration day against Brighton.
Doesn't that sum it up, though?
This is a
doesn't that sum it up, though, Lubo? Doesn't that sum it up?
So you've got to put it off to next year.
What you've just said. If you cancel the protest, you can't rearrange it because we would have done it after we've just won a major European trophy.
Correct.
That will be the same for all of next year. Now, by the way, there are people in the chat who aren't listening, right? No one's saying that I want Daniel Levy here. I'm just saying, in life, there is such a thing as timing. Now, if Spurs fans protest 9 days before a European final, for me, I think that looks awful in the press. I think it looks awful with the rest of the fans. Anyone that you then wanted to convince, by the way, let's bring this point. Anyone that you guys who protest want to convince to come and join you are going to look at this like I am, I promise you, and are going to go,
I agree.
These guys are really ungrateful. We're football fans, Lubo, right? Football fans. Have a look. There's football fans watching this show right now that can't even listen when we say, think Spurs are going to win, but Man U will be tough. They can't even hear that. Yet we think they're going to listen and go, oh, I understand. You're protesting because of 24 years, 9 days before one of the biggest games of the club's history. Like it's catch-22, but at the same time, isn't this what, like, if I was a reporter, Lubo, you said there, sit down, speak to the press. If I'm a reporter, I would turn around and I would rip your argument wide open with a few simple questions. So you're going, Richard, oh God, I first named myself there. That's how you know I was in reporter mode. I've just first named myself. Richard, we're it sounds weird. We're not protesting on one season. We're protesting on 24 years, and it's not been good enough. And we want change at the top of the club. We haven't won enough trophies. I'm going to turn around and go to you. So you mean the massive trophy you've just won? Yeah. You mean the change at the club? You've just brought in a new CEO. You're getting a brand new director of football, right? You've just got Champions League football. They're going to rip it wide open. They're not going to care about 24 years. They're not. I'm telling you.
Ghosted's comment at 119 today. Protests should still go ahead. We would have been in plenty more finals if Levy had backed the team more often. That's how I feel totally.
I get it.
But how many finals have we been in and not turned up as well? You can turn this round.
Guys,
I am Levy out.
Can I also say one thing, right? Because I honestly think that right now, until the end of the season, the protest is dead, right? I wouldn't protest if
I agree.
But you said about the next season, right? And if we win and start protesting next season, that also looks ungrateful, right? I think it's not as simple as that, because let's imagine a beautiful world where we actually win that Europa League, right? So the context at the beginning of next season is we finished last season 17th, we won the Europa League, right? And then there is a whole summer window. And ironically, I think winning Europa League puts massive pressure on Levy, right? Because either if it's Ange or a new manager, right? After such a shambolic season in the league and winning the Europa League, right? If he doesn't support the next manager or Ange if he stays, and if he doesn't do well in the summer window, right? And the next manager or Ange starts season in a shitty way next season, then the protest can quickly come back with even double force, right? Because right now we as a fan base can say, we won the Europa League and you did fucking nothing, right? And you didn't support the manager, and now the manager is struggling because of you, right? This is the context we can put on it as a fan base, right? But not now, not before the final, not straight after the final, right? It just doesn't work. Like if we lose the final, that's a different thing, right? Because we are talking about and we are also like, because we are talking about the context of winning the final, right? If you lose the final, much different thing, right? If you lose the final, fucking go burn the stadium down, right? Like the protest, it will be the biggest protest against United, right?
Hang on, Luba, let me back on from Mikhail's point, right? Mikhail, listen, I completely agree with everything you're saying. I completely am not saying don't ever protest. I just think the timing before a cup, a massive European, this isn't the Carling Cup. This is a European Cup final. Now, one of the key things you said there, and again, when people are saying it doesn't matter what the media think, well, hang on. If it doesn't matter what the media think, Daniel Levy doesn't care that 2,500 of you protest. So if the media don't get behind it, if you're not getting more fans to join, Daniel Levy couldn't give a shit if 2,500 of you did it every week. You need more people to join it, and the media needs to get behind it in a big way. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the thing. The question you just raised there, Mikhail, sorry for pointing my pen at you. That's very passive-aggressive of me. The old wagging finger. The problem that they've got is when people say things like that, like, well, you know, Daniel Levy doesn't back managers. Daniel Levy will be able to say this. The fans that are against the protest will be able to say this. The fans that love Ange will be able to say this. And that thing is this. Well, he backed the manager enough to win a major European trophy. Now, whether you believe it, whether I believe it, whether anyone believes it, Levy will be able to turn around and go, I don't know what more they want. I've given them this beautiful stadium, right? I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm playing devil's advocate, people. Hopefully
but you're right. You're right.
And he's going to turn around and go, hang on, sorry, I didn't back them. Haven't we just won the Europa League?
And spent 400 million on that manager.
Another bit to add to it. What have I been saying before we even got to this final, where I think Levy had a trick? Cancel out the final, forget it's happening at the minute. I said I think Levy's had this trick up his sleeve for about 6 to 9 months now, where he saw the season was already going to fall through, basically, but maybe a chance of a cup. He's going to give the Spurs fans what they wanted, an attacking manager. No, I don't call him attacking, but the majority still say it's attacking football. It's better than pragmatic, Conte football, whatever else, which I don't think it is, but he give them what they asked for. He backed the manager with 400 million quid. He stuck by the manager through thick and thin and didn't ditch him during the season, like so many Spurs fans asked him to do. And even when Ange was doing that shit, more than 50% still backing up Ange. Do not sack our man. Do not sack him in semi-finals or just before a cup, even though the league has been disgusting and that. At least let him ride it out until if he can get to the final of the Europa and that, and then see what happens after that. And if we then go and win that Europa, the diabolical side of it, Levy can just literally sit back and say, there you go.
So Levy runs the club. Levy runs the club on public opinion, does he?
Brilliant. So you're telling me this one has nothing to do with public opinion?
No, I think he's been neglectful. I think he's been majorly neglectful this year. And
I disagree.
If we lose the final, Dan, I want to be.
That's a different story. That's a different story.
If we lose the final, Lubo, isn't this comment correct? And I don't normally get on with Chris, but isn't this comment correct? If we lose the final now, I can't blame Daniel Levy for losing a one-off game against Man United.
Nope.
This will be the 14th final under Levy and Enoch.
It's not 14th. 7th.
14th semi-final last night.
Semi-final and final.
One. So 24 years, 14 semi-finals, 7 finals. That will be the narrative spun.
And once again, last summer's transfer window. Let's not talk about Ange has had 400 million. Let's talk about the realities of what the money's been spent on, and it's been certain players have been bought because of the wage bill, because he wanted to make the club attractive to sell it to outside investors. Nothing to do with backing Ange. It was all about the wage bill came down 30 million.
Yeah.
We had a net, hang on, Mike, we had a net spend of 30 million in last summer. That was the net spend. And when you go out, if
we win the Europa League final, none of that matters.
No, but if you lose it, I'm talking about if you lose it, I'd like to be a fly on the wall with Joe Lewis and say, well, Joe, you know, I did everything that the fans wanted, but you know what? It's cost us 37 million in league merit prize money. It's cost us Champions League money, which was probably about 70 million. So do you know what? I followed public opinion. I've done what the fans wanted, but you know what? I've made sure your company is 100 million out of pocket. What a genius.
Lubo, I agree, but do you know what? Lubo, you're coming at this for listen, I'm trying to sit on the fence here. And by the way, there's a lot of people in the chat who are not understanding what the words devil's advocate bloody mean here, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying I disagree with what Dan, Mikhail, or Lubo are saying. What I'm doing is chucking the other side for people that won't feel that way, right? Lubo, everything you've just said there from a passionate Spurs fan who despises the Levy regime, I 100. Hang on, all right, I completely agree with you. However, that is not what it's going to look like. If Spurs win the Europa League final, no one's going to then jump ship and go, actually, these guys protesting were right. Actually, yeah, we did have a 30 million net spend. Actually, yeah, we're not happy with a transfer window, because at the end of the day, those fans and most of football in general are going to look in and go, what's the problem at Spurs? Don't understand it, right? We are in the Champions League. They won the Europa League. Now can I tell you how you know that's going to be the case, Lubo? Like, this isn't do you know how you know, Dan? You know, Mikhail. Do you know how you know it's going to be the case? Look how many fans don't give a shit that we are going to finish 17th in the league. They don't care. Fans don't care. Fans want to keep a manager that could finish 17th because he won the Europa. So if you think that keeping the manager who wins the Europa, if we think that the protests are going to garner more interest to get rid of an owner who's just won the Europa, we're out of our minds. So timing is everything. And the timing's not right.
Hang on, Ian. I'd done a show just the other day saying the Europa Cup, this is what Spurs need. Or is it? Now, if you want to look at it from one side, yeah, since we're getting technical, personally, I think this is a brilliant conversation point to put in, because there is 2 or 3 ways this can easily go. Now, if we don't win this, then basically all the Levy haters, me being one of them, have every leg to stand on, basically. And all those who were on the fence, slowly coming over, because there's been a lot more coming over because of Ange or not because of Ange or whatever, all of a sudden are going to fall back to the other side and say, well, he backed the manager, he did this, he did this, he did this, we've got our cup. Right, hopefully Levy's going to improve. And it'll take another season of just complete crap, or another 2 years or 3 years before you've got all those ones that didn't have a leg to stand on over the past 17 years even saying, oh yeah, but Levy's done this, Levy's done. But what have we got to show on the football side? They're now going to turn around and say, but we got a Europa Cup. Things are improving. If we don't win that cup and Ange gets the sacked and we finish 17th, then I think you'll see even more people on the fence turn to the other side. So depending what way you want to look at this, is this Europa Cup what Spurs need or isn't it? It's a very catch-22 situation depending on what you're looking for. Now, what I'm looking for, I want us to win this cup come love nor money. The next protest for me, I don't think is the smartest idea to do it then. I agree with timing is the point. I've had issues with people in my life where I'll give an example, not go too deep. Senior, I haven't seen you for a long time, mate. I want to talk to you. And then he walks past the car and he's got his daughter with him. I turned my head and walked the other way. It weren't the time and place to talk to him. Timing is spot on. Yeah. I don't think the next protest in a few days' time would be the right time to do it. Let all this settle down, back the club, win the Europa, and then we can go straight back to what we were doing in the aspect of you still ain't improving the club or nothing else. You still haven't done this, whatever else. I just don't think this is the right time to necessarily do it. But I could totally understand if we did do it. I think this one is one that is cut right down the middle, but I think the timing side wins by 55-45, in my opinion.
I think there's a compromise to be had for this protest, because they were going to do something.
Possible.
They were going to do something inside the ground. I would protest outside the grounds and get fully behind the team inside the grounds. And I think that's, for me on Sunday, that's what should happen. Levy cannot walk away as well, because we've gone and won a game at BODO Glimt. I'm sorry. He has done so much damage to this club. For me, that's my personal opinion. I feel that he's cheated me out of so many good moments because they've been more interested in profit instead of glory. There's been so many things over the last 24 years. And why should he get away with it? Because we've had 4 decent games since Christmas.
I'm not saying get away with it. I'm not saying get away with it totally. I just think it's like what someone just said on here. Grumpy Steve 1348. It's a good point he's making there on what. So we protest on the first day of the next manager. These protests aren't about the manager. The manager only sort of came into these protests because we were sitting 15th, 16th in the league and doing so shit. And that is also what boosted the protests up. These protests are nothing about the manager. It is about getting Levy and that out the club. I just personally thought what you've said, I think, is a fair point. Okay, if the protest happens, you then go in the stadium, you back the team 1,000,000%. I could see that working as well. But from the media angle, and we all know the media angle is a dog-eat-dog world, just like the rest of the world, and it will try and rip this into every part to make Spurs fans rip each other apart as much as football, because it's all good to watch on the news, isn't it? People don't watch the news to see happy things on there. It's a proper catch-22 situation for me. It really is a proper catch-22, I think. But what you've said, I think, is a fair point as well. Timing is the one for this one for me, and it is a proper catch-22, in my opinion.
I also think if you can, like, maybe to explain my stance on it, right? I completely agree, and all three of us completely agree with what you said, Ian, right? Getting to a Europa League final doesn't wipe away the 25 years of failure we had under this this ownership, right? It just doesn't wipe that out, right? But I think the opinions I'm giving right now aren't necessarily from my perspective, right? Because if it were up to me, I would be protesting there, right? Just to show the disdain I have with the ownership, and then, as you said, go into the stadium and support the team with my whole heart, right? Unfortunately, we have to look at it not from our perspective, because me, you, Dan, Savva, Stelios, and other guys, Brian, other guys like us, right? I would say we are like on the end of like the whole Levy spectrum, right? From Levy inners to Levy outers, I would say we are at the end spectrum, right? And we are a minority. Let's be honest about it, right? Even all the protesters are minority when it comes to the size of the stadium and the amount of fans that are around the stadium, right? So now we are faced with a situation where we have a protest organized before Crystal Palace game, right? And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that the last protests were like, what, 2,500 people, right? Yeah. You will have half of that before Palace or less, right? Because people see the end of the tunnel, right? They see the light at the end of the tunnel. They see something happy happening in their life, right? When Spurs can win a trophy, right? So not only the protest loses quantity, right, in terms of people, but also those fans that are in the middle of the whole Levy spectrum, right? They look at 1,000 geezers walking down the N17, right, and chanting against the team, and they will not look at it. They will not separate it from
No, Michael. It's not against the team, and everybody knows.
No, Ian, you just missed the point. You just missed Michael's point.
I said, right? They will look at it as if it was, right?
Yes.
They will interpret it wrong because an average Joe will look at the protest, right, with the context
and not
of
go deeper.
With the context of us being in the Europa League final, right? And they will look at it and treat the protesters as ungrateful people, right? Because we got to the Europa League final. I know that's not the case, right? But they will look at it and
but
look
it is
at
what
it
it
from the
is.
point of view. Why are you protesting now? It gets to players' heads, right? Why are you against the team? Why are you against the whole club, right? They will look at it. You have to look at the protest from an average Joe's point of view, because this is the vast majority. Right. This is the vast majority of people that support the club, right? They are average Joes, with all due respect to every average Joe, right?
No, you're right.
This is how they will look at it. And the media always looks at
shit stirring it up
at average Joes, but they look at the opinion of average Joe because they are the majority. They will play on the emotions of an average Joe, right? So they will look at the protest, the media, and they will say, there is 80% of Spurs fan base that are on the fence and they don't like the fact that there is a protest. Let's hammer the fuck out of the protesters, right? So that we get 80% of Spurs fan base reading our articles and watching our news, right? This is unfortunately the way it will go, right?
It is what it is.
We are saying opinions, not this opinion, not because we believe in it, right? I don't believe in it. I think we should be protesting, even like we should show the ownership that just getting to a Europa League final is not enough, right? But the timing of it, what Savva said, right? The timing of it is crucial, because
but not 3 days after reaching that final.
Exactly, right? Not 9 days before the final, not 3 days after the final if we win it, right? If you win,
Mikhail, what do you think of this? Mikhail, what do you think of that? Again, Chris, I don't like this. I don't ever agree with anything you say, and today that's 2 in a row. He's right. I think sometimes we have to weigh up the risk versus the reward, or as I like to say, the juice and the squeeze. Is the juice versus the squeeze here? I think Levy won't really care anyway. We know he doesn't care. Levy's not going to care, but we've seen how fragile and weak our players can be. Does it have an effect? I don't know. By the way, I'm not saying it does. I don't know the players.
With what Mike has said. Go on, Mike, if you want to finish. Sorry, Mike.
And I wanted to also add that Levy, in this context, can use it against us, right?
Yes.
He can use the context of the Europa League final against the protesters, right? We know he does things with the media, right? Like we all say it, right? That there is a narrative in the media supported by the club, right? So he can use the context of a Europa League final against the protesters, right? He will say, and Ian, I also, like, before you start, I agree with you that the whole 400 million spent is a myth, right? But he will use this simple things in media, right? Simple titles. I've spent 400 million. I got my team to a Europa League final. These ungrateful shits protest against me. Why, right? I got them a final. I got them 400 million invested, right? I didn't sack the manager that got us to a final, even though they wanted me to sack him, right? It's all because of me. He will use it that way, right? So right now, that's why I said, I think right now, us as a fan base, we have to swallow the pill, right? And just look at it from the point of view.
The important
thing here is the final and is supporting the team, right? This is the one moment where I will agree, just shut up and back the team for 1.5 weeks, right? And we will see after the final, because after the final, the context can be different, right?
The thing to add on with that is when I was at that last protest, about 2,000, 2,500 there, I would say random, yeah? We were still walking down there, and there was still the high majority of Spurs fans walking past us that couldn't give a toss of what's going on. They only go there to watch the game. And there was still a high support going past, hurling a bit of abuse. Now, all right, nothing thrown at us, no violence, whatever, and that, but there was plenty standing there. When I was standing right at the front, banging on the side and everything, shouting Levy out and everything else for everyone else. Plenty walking into the shop and everything, just giving a dirty look and everything for you. Who the fuck are you lot, basically, and everything and that. Now, if this goes and gets done on that day sort of thing, I think it's going to cause that even more tension that something can go significantly wrong with it as well. Now, I'm definitely on the side of no, the protests don't stop. And if we do it, then it's not about winning the cup. It's not about Ange. It's not about this. We want Levy out. But it's going to give the majority side of fan base, because whether we like it or not, it's majority Levy in. Yeah. It's going to give them even more to throw at our side, along with the press on that side as well. And it could also end up being a proper... something could actually kick off there, basically. It only takes one moment and things can go chaos. One moment. And that will give the ones who were standing on the other side, just giving us a dirty look and this and that, to take it one step further, and then it can... This is such a catch-22. It's also madness. Also, it's a really bad one.
Just a couple sentences, right? Because I've seen, Savva, you highlighted comments of people saying, right, why do you give a fuck what other people say, right? Yeah. Because if you want the protest to be 30,000 people, you don't have 30,000 Stelioses or 30,000 Savvas or 30,000 me or Dan or Ian, right? You need an average Joe to join your protest, right? You need that stadium to be behind the protest, right? You need that stadium to support you, right? And vast majority of fans in that stadium aren't as Levy out as we are, aren't as invested in football as we are, aren't as invested in everything that we do here as we are, right? You need them to go onto your side, right? And protesting now will get those average fans away from the protests, right? Because an average fan thinks in a simple term, right? An average fan looks at football and treats it in a simple way, right? We are in a Europa League final. Why are you protesting? No more context, right? They
no
won't
critical
look at,
thinking.
No
critical thinking.
Same as in a game,
point,
isn't it? It's
right?
Exactly the same as a game. Right, we won that game 2-1, but we got absolutely hammered. There was 20 shots against us. We got cooked in every position, but we actually won the game through nothing but sheer luck. There'll be people like us that assess the situation in different ways. There'll be people like me who look on more on the negative side of it, because that's the bit you have to fix to get better. And there'll be people who look, and then you'll have the average normal supporter who watches football for what it is, but goes no deeper, doesn't go into tactics or nothing, and says, why don't you lot just shut the fuck up, basically, because we won the game.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Exactly.
It is what it is.
Right. And same thing.
I'm agreeing with you, Mike. You're right.
Same
it's
thing
exactly
with the, protest,
the same.
Right? They will look at it from simple terms, right? We are in a final. Why are you protesting, right? If we lose the final, that's a different context, right? Because then an average Joe looks at, we lost the final. Why we lost the final? Oh, that's because we didn't have good enough players, right? Simple thinking. Why we didn't have good enough players? Because the ownership didn't buy them, right? And now you have the average Joe on your side, right? And again, like, I'm not saying I want to lose the final. I'm just giving you a context.
No, you're right.
I want to win that final, right?
Stanley's protesting.
Yeah.
Stanley's protesting.
Oh,
he's going. Aren't you, mate? Can I just say one more thing? Just off the back of your point, Mikhail, right? I've got to remember as well that one other thing that's going to be thrown at this is Daniel Levy. And but again, I think you made a really good point there, Mikhail. If I go about it in a round of arse about face way, that when people are saying, why do you care what anyone else thinks? Well, the whole point is you're trying to get people to join you in any march, in any protest, in any walk of life. You're trying to get people to join you. Same as you look at it, tiny scale. Look at YouTube channels. People say, why do you care what people think? Well, because people need to want to come back, right? People need to want to come back and watch debates. People need to come back. Daniel Levy's going to be able to turn around, whether we like him or not, and say, well, hang on, since you moved into this stadium, I've taken you to a Champions League final and a Europa League final. So why are Spurs fans so ungrateful? Now, the problem is, us fans inside know all the points that Lubo gave. Ticket prices,
and he's 100% right.
Merchandise. We know all of what he did to the OAPs. We know what he's done with the money and the borrowing and the hotels. Football fans that don't support Spurs and the media and the people that need to drive this narrative to have an effect on Daniel Levy, which is what you've always said to me, Dan, is that this is going to have to affect people other than Spurs fans, right? For it to be meaningful. Those people won't know about that and they won't give a shit. They will not give a shit what he did to our OAPs. I'm not saying that's right. They will not give a shit that our net spend in the summer was 30 million. They will not care that he's lowered the wage bill. They will say, hang on, he got you to 2 European finals. Poch didn't get you over the line. Ange did or didn't get you over the line. Unfortunately, this is what a lot of people don't get in life. Perception is absolutely everything. And for me, I just think it's ridiculous protesting on the eve of a European Cup final when we've not been in that competition final for 41 years. I can't think of a really good analogy off the top of my head, but it's, again, we're doing things from a position of weakness, not a position of strength.
I agree.
For me, this is the equivalent. Remember when we had Poch and we finished second and third and those sorts of things? That was our position of strength, where Levy did mess up because Levy should have gone, right, we're second and third. We've got we've got Kane in his prime. Right, go and get 3 or 4 top footballers. Let's make this squad win a league. Right? That's the equivalent of what we're doing now, but the opposite. Right? We're waiting. We've waited, not saying waited, but we're about to protest from a position of we're in a European final. The whole fan base is ecstatic that we are in a European final. 9 days before that, do we want the metric? Do we want the perception? Do we want the measure of Spurs to be, well, they're in a European final. Look at these thousands of people walking down a high street complaining about a chairman that's made 7 finals, 14 semi-finals, a Champions League final, a Europa. We've done more in Europe under Levy than Arsenal have.
And what is Levy best at, Savva? What does, I mean, out of your words, Ian, and I'm 1,000,000% with you, there's that one word that no one has mentioned yet. Manipulation. And he will manipulate the shit out of this.
It's going to be spun.
To get it in his advantage and to get the ones that were going to turn, that are on the fence. For me, this is a proper
we are going to wrap in
situation.
2 minutes, by the way.
Honestly, this is a proper catch-22. I don't know personally what is necessarily the right or the wrong way with this one. I can look on your side, Ian, and be with you. I think Brian might have put it best on there, basically. Like, you do the protests and everything, but in the stadium, no Levy out, none of that crap, whatever. Just get behind the fans 100%, even if they get beat 5-0 for the thing. I can go with that one. I can go with that one. But I'm just also trying to be open-minded and look on it from the manipulation it can have on that side or that side. I'm just trying to look on it both sides, but I think I'm with you and Brian on the fact of, okay, do the protests, but don't do it in the stadium. But on the other side of it, it's also all the ammunition in the world that the other side are going to want to turn around and say, you ungrateful pricks, whatever, you're the problem, you're the toxic negative, this and that. And if we do that protest and go and lose that final, you know for a fact there's going to be so many channels on here and so many people that turn around. It's because of you toxic negative pricks that didn't get behind the supporters, that didn't get behind that didn't get behind the fans, that didn't get behind the positive fans, that didn't get behind the players, and it is your fault. And the whole lot, if we lose the final and do the protest, we'll get slammed on the toxic negative lot that it's our fault that the players didn't turn up on the day. Be realistic here. But Ian, they're the majority. We're the minority. Like it or lump it. It is what it is. And that is exactly what they will do. They will turn around if we do not win this final and have a protest like a day before or whatever it is before, they will turn around and then try and manipulate it along with Levy and slap it on us so-called toxic negative lot that it is our fault that we lost the final because we didn't get behind the team. Does anyone disagree with that? Does anyone disagree with what I'm saying?
Wait and see the support the players get in the grounds on the 21st.
But that's not what I'm saying.
What we say on here,
you missed my point. You've missed my point.
Hear me out. I get your point. But what we say on here does not affect, or if people are marching up the high road, does not affect how the players will play.
I disagree. There's a lot of people who say that it's down to us toxic negative lot, that it's down to the reason we're in 17th.
Because they don't think. People don't think. They don't use their brains.
Yeah, but Ian, exactly. But that's what they're going to do.
So that's the point.
And that is the problem. That is the fucking problem.
Which is why the marketing of the protest has to be correct. I just want to make one point on what Savva said. This is the difference This is the difference between Spurs fans and Man United fans. Spurs fans will say, who support Levy, but he's taken us to 14 semis and 7 finals.
I agree.
Man United fans will turn around and say, but you've won 1 or 2 trophies and we've won 15. And that's the difference between small club thinking and big club thinking, which is why...
But Lubo, we're not, again, I know a lot of people still in the chat cannot understand what I'm doing here. I
totally get it. I like
Lubo,
it. It's a
the
good point.
fact... Let me show you, Lubo, the fact of how football fans work. The fact that so many in the chat can't understand what I am doing in this debate shows you why critical thinking of protesting before a Europa League final won't work. Because people have not got the nuance to turn around and go, see what Savva's doing there. What they're all doing is going, yeah, but Savva, it's because of fans like you that we're in. I'm like, whoa, look at what I'm doing. I am doing these 3 all protest. I'm sitting there going, right, as a non-protester, this is what people are going to say. And unfortunately, like Dan just said there, like Dan and Mikhail just said there, Spurs fans like us get blamed by so many because, you don't back the team. It's why we lose games, right?
It's why we're
now,
in 17th.
Of course it is.
Now imagine the protests and then Spurs... By the way, I've said we're going to win it. I have to caveat.
I think we're going to win it.
Now imagine we lose the Europa League final 2 or 3-0. It will be you lot, you 2,500 people who walk down the high street asking for Spurs to be sold 9 days before a final, rather than concentrating your positive energy on the team. Now what will happen is no one will join the movement. So when we're talking about who cares what others think, everyone who protests should massively care what everyone else thinks, because they're the ones you're trying to convince. It's like when those people are called out. If you call these people out, right, they're not going to join. You have to, and this is where I do agree with Dan here. I don't agree that this works in every walk of life. Dan knows what I'm about to say. But when you're talking about killing people with kindness, right? I mean, you know what I'm getting at here, Dan. This is where, for the protesters for the last few years, if you want everyone to join, you kill them with kindness rather than absolutely bury them that they don't think the same as you. Yep. Guys, I'm not saying the protests are wrong. You know my opinions that I don't think they work, but never have I ever turned around to any of you and said, you're idiots for protesting. I'll crack on, do it. If you get them out, I will forever be in your debt. I'm just saying the perception, the timing, the reality is we are going to be, by the time we play Palace, we are 9 sleeps away. I think that's how the kids talk these days. We are 9 or 10 sleeps away from the most important game in this club's history for 41 years if we win it. If we don't win it, then the Champions League game is the most important. If we win it, this one overtakes it as being the most important because we won a European trophy. So is right now the time that we want the media, we want every other fan base going, look at these lot. They're in a European final. Who do they think they are? Where's your... Hang on.
The other fan bases, the big fan bases won't be saying that. The Liverpools and the Uniteds.
But where's your chest coming from? Who do you think you are? You get to a European final and the first thing you do in the next game isn't bigging up the players. It's asking for the owner to leave.
Ian, you know what an average fan will say. An average United, Arsenal, Chelsea fan will say, right? Who the fuck do you think you are that you are protesting right now? They will say it that way because they don't respect us. They don't see us as a club that gets to a finals regularly, right? They will look at us and see us as ungrateful, right?
No,
they will think that we have the audacity to protest before we are in a final, right?
Ian,
they will say,
they would appreciate what we're going through more than anybody else.
No, they bollocks.
Sorry, mate.
Ian.
No, Ian
bollocks.
Go on, Mike, finish. Okay.
They will look at us, right? And they look at how other big six fans treat us, right? They say, you are a Spurs fans. Spurs fans, don't talk about trophies, you don't win them. Don't talk about winning, you don't win, right? You are bottle jobs, you are this, you are that. This is the perception of Spurs.
Because we are the
right?
majority that complain about it. The majority don't care in that
What are the protests about? It's about not winning the trophies.
Yes,
it's about not
Ian,
competing.
you're missing the point. Ian,
I'm
you're
not missing the
point.
I'm not
I
giving
think
you.
you are.
Before
There
we
be
have
United
to
fans
win,
on here making comments on this show this morning saying we carried on protesting even when we won an FA Cup.
But we ain't United fans. That's
But
just
that's
our
what big clubs
problem.
do, Dan, with
Yes,
big
and
mentalities.
exactly, and I agree. But we are not a big club with a big fan base mentality.
We've got to start thinking like a big club.
Yeah, but sadly, like it or lump it, the facts are the facts. We are the minority of this lot, yeah, not the majority. And
Then
that
we'll never get anywhere. This ownership will always stay and will always be a smaller club.
Everything in business and life, whether it's football, whether it's whatever you're going to do, is down to tactics, down to the way you do it, down to manipulating the situation, down to getting the formation right, down to your timing, like Savva said. And the problem is we are the minority of this lot, yeah? Because the majority definitely don't turn up at protests. Yeah. Only 2,000 turn up. I say only very lightly, by the way, turn up at a protest when there's another 60,000 in there that should have the same attitude of that we've got a massive stadium, 7th or 8th biggest club in the world, chairman that don't give a shit about football, never really supports the club properly, blah, blah, blah. The list can go on and on and on. Do they? No. And this is where it's all about timing. Sometimes you just have to take it off, take a step back and think, right, you got to beat the other side. You got to think like the other side is the way I look on things, yeah? If you really want to win something, you got to get inside someone or something's head. You got to try and start thinking how they think, how it works. How are they going to perceive this? How are they going to look at this? And for me, if we go and do this, I think the way that can work is the way that you and Brian said, outside and inside nothing. But for me, the major repercussion of this is if we don't win that Europa Cup, literally every positive, negative, toxic, positive Spurs fan is going to turn around and say, it's all down to you pricks on why we did not win that Europa for not backing the club as a whole.
Sorry,
yes, it is ridiculous, but it's well, what have they been doing all season then, Ian? It's our fault that Ange ain't doing it because we don't support Ange. You're right, but it don't work like that.
We don't dictate how the players play.
Right.
But and look at this. This is bang on. You need people to want to join the movement, not turn them off for the long term. The timing is all off to do this now. This is the problem. Most of our fans. Yeah, but Lubo, as we've already said, half our fans don't give a shit that we've lost 19 league games and are 17th in the league because we're in a final. Now you think that they're going to. Now you think they're going to turn around and appreciate that we're in a final, but we protested. Football fans, in the main, sorry if this offends anyone. Sorry if this offends anyone here. Football fans in the main can't think past the last 24 hours. Football fans in the main. You look here, we've had discussions about Bruno Fernandez being a player to watch for Man United. And look how many people in the chat were going, oh, you're bigging up Man United. You don't back the team. That's the limited thinking of most football fans. They live in the moment and it's all about now, right? We have got to understand here, right? We have got to understand that Daniel Levy, first of all, doesn't give a flying shit. I don't know how many years we have to work this out. He does not care, right? I have stated this a million times. I know many of you disagree with me, right? I know many of you will disagree with me on this. Daniel Levy built what he built on purpose. He did not stumble across this formula. He didn't stumble across NFL, boxing, concerts, skywalk, hotels. He built this on purpose. So the football is a small part of what they're trying to build. The football is a part of what they're trying to build, not the part. So when we're talking about Man United fans protesting, Newcastle fans protesting, they are protesting against football and football only, right? Daniel Levy and Enoch and the shareholders, whoever we're going to put into this bracket, they are going to look and go, what's the detrimental effect of these protests? So far, there's zero. They make God knows how much revenue from the club shop every single game and event, right? The club shop on concerts is selling Beyonce memorabilia. The club shop on NFL is selling helmets, shin pads, whatever. I don't know the technical term for all the stuff they have, right? The club shop is packed every game. The Skywalk is packed every day. The stadium tour is packed every day, right? Every concert is sold out. Every boxing event is sold out. The Formula One go-kart track, there's a waiting list as long as your arm to get into it, right? Every NFL is sold out, right? He's got partnerships coming out of his arse. This partnership with this company, this company, this company. But we think he's going to turn around and go, let's leave because a few thousand football fans aren't happy. That's not what he's built. He's not built this on that dynasty. He's not built it. Chelsea are built on football. Man City, their owners have come in and built them on football. You guys, for me, are protesting about a fifth of what they're turning this business into. Yeah. So if he doesn't see any loss of profits in NFL, concerts, boxing, this, that, the other, what is it that we think Daniel Levy and Enoch, it's not just Daniel Levy, by the way, what is it we think is going to make Daniel Levy and Enoch sit up and go, shit, it's going down the pan? They're sitting there going, everything we created has come true. Everything in our project has come to life. So why do we think they're going to give this up?
The other problem is, for me,
don't get it.
I personally don't think the protest has any effect on the players or manager whatsoever, yeah? It's got nothing to do with that. Not for me. The side I'm looking at this from a longer point of view is, I'll say it again, is if all of a sudden we don't win that Europa Cup, it basically just gives all the ammunition to the side who say we're toxic negative, the minority, who actually give a toss about the football, live, die and eat football, not just watching a game of football. And it will just come down on us like a ton of bricks that it is our fault because we had the protest about Levy and that. And then they will come up with excuses of, oh, but Ange fucked up because Savva didn't shut up about complaining about the football club as a whole. Neither did Dan, neither did Bayern, neither did Ian, neither did Stel. It's all our fault that we lost the Europa and that. And that is what a majority will do. Because what do a majority of people do in life? Like it or lump it, every 5 minutes, they don't look for reasons. They look for excuses for everything. And that is what Spurs supporters are known the best for. Making an excuse for every single thing. How many excuses have you heard this season about Ange? It's not his fault. We're in 17th place. And how many times have you heard it? A lot of it is down to the toxic negative and the abuse he gets. We will get absolutely slammed if we go and do that protest, but don't win that final. For me, it is down to the timing side of it. For me, I'm stuck in the middle here. It's a proper catch-22. I'm just trying to look on it from both sides and the longer effect it could have. I'm leaving out all the way. I'm with the protests. I'll be there. But there is that other side of me that sees this protest before a final could have a very, very, very bad effect for the people fighting for the protest, because we will get the blame for everything, even though it ain't our fault. It ain't our fault the players have played shit. It ain't our fault that the manager can't get his finger out his arse in the league and that. But on the majority of channels, up until towards the end of the season, who was keep getting the blame in for things? Do people want to answer it? Toxic negative lot is what we're called, when actually a lot of the problem is toxic positive. But either way, we're the ones who are going to get the blame for the whole lot if we do that protest and don't win that Europa, in my opinion.
I need to wrap up the show. I mean, what a great way to end the show. Listen, this is what it's all about. It's all about the debates. Whoever's right or wrong, we'll see. All I know is this. Spurs have just reached the European final.
Mm-hmm. This is what matters.
And I think that, for me, needs to be the focus for the next 12 days. I do. That's just me. Other people can disagree. Fine. I'm not going to die on a hill for it. You all know my opinions. I've had the same opinions for years on the protests. You all know my opinions. Guys and girls, absolutely loved it. Really good show this morning. Big up to a user who has said there will never be a right time for Spurs fans. As I said, a user, it depends what you think. It depends what Spurs fans think they're trying to achieve. Are you trying to get an owner out who cares about football, or are you trying to get an owner out who's built an empire? I don't know. That's just my feeling on it. And they said, why protest then? You just nullified it. Enjoy. A user, I really appreciate all your super chats. Thank you very much. Guys, girls. Cam Tinley, I must have said something right. Because Cam Tinley, for the first time in a year, has agreed with me. Cam, did we just become best friends? Is this our stepbrothers moment?
No, hang on.
Best friends?
Sad. Cam's having a bad day today, mate.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
Eat a Snickers, mate. You're not yourself. Eat a Snickers, mate.
This is amazing. I must have said something right. Guys, girls, take care. Much love. I need to go and get this absolutely sorted out. Lubo, thanks for joining. Mikhail, thanks for joining. Dan, thanks for joining.
Pleasure as always.
This is what it should be about. Friendly but heated football debate. Take care, everyone. And Red Devil United, we'll see you in the final, and we will beat you by 1 goal in the final. I've got a feeling. Got a feeling. And knowing my luck, it'll be a Solanke rocket from 35 yards. Take care, everyone. And as always, come on, use Spurs.